Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 12th part of What If Naruto Was the Black Dragon of Apocalypse. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Aren't I lucky, dragon? Zirconis yelled as he looked down at the soldiers and mages who were all around him. The huge beast looming over them scared the soldiers quite a bit. Even though they were scared, the mages stared back at the dragon with defiance. Zirconis, what's so funny? Grandini asked. Continued to be on guard against her cruel enemy. Oh, isn't it obvious, Grandini? I had no way of being able to fight Naruto. You are a whole different story. Zirconis smiled cheekily in response. The Sky Dragon gave her enemy a narrow look. Do you think I'm weak? Zirconis turned his head away. Of course not. I'd be stupid to do that. But if we're being honest, if I fought Naruto, I would die quickly. But at least I have a chance of living as long as you are around. Before the Sky Dragon could answer, there was a loud explosion that lit up the sky. The two dragons and the mages who weren't distracted by a mother glare hatchling looked up into the sky. Even though the sky was dark, the group could see two dark shapes fighting against each other. Even though they were far away, the two dragons knew who was fighting in the sky above them. Those two are fighting hard. Zirconis said something to himself as he watched the two dragons fight. In reality, the fight was a draw, but he knew that could change quickly. Grandini frowned as she kept looking up at the fight. She was worried about Naruto because Gadora isn't a normal enemy. Even a dragon couldn't beat him. She knew, though, that he would find a way to stay on top. Always, he did. Grandini said in a firm voice, Naruto will win against Gadora. Zirconis smiled arrogantly at the Sky Dragon as he looked at it. Oh, that's nice that you trust your boyfriend so much, he said in a cheeky way. Grandini's eyes got bigger before she gave the Jade Dragon a fierce look. Damn it. I'm not crazy about Naruto. She roared, which would have scared people if she hadn't been red in the face. That reaction proves otherwise, Wendy said with a smile. Grandini was shocked and asked, What are you doing, Wendy? Grandini, who had been hurt, wailed. Wendy gave a shoulder shrug. Come on, he won't mind, I'm sure. And neither Ka-chan nor Auntie will be against it. Grandini dropped her head in defeat. I'm not going to hear the end of this, am I? After spending years living in my body and not telling me? Think of this as a little payback. With a cheeky smile, Wendy replied. Ha 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 ha. Dark was rolling around on the ground because both sides were making fun of their mother. Oh, it will be fun to tease their mother once this is all over. Grandini let out a sigh and then glared at Zirconis's smirking face. Fine, she muttered. Let's just kill these bugs. Wendy gave a nod as she called up her blades. Hi, Ka-san. Zirconis muttered as he stroked his whiskers, maybe I'll get to use my magic. You will fall to us, dragon. Yelled a brave soldier. The Jade Dragon started to look at the poor fool. Oh? Aren't you confident, humans? Zirconis gave a smirk. Let's see how you handle this. The Jade Dragon threw its head back and shot a beam of green magical energy. Watch out. The mages all jumped out of the way when Mirajane yelled. The soldiers, most of whom were men, were not as quick, and they were caught in the explosion as a thick cloud of smoke filled the area. Is everyone okay? Najenda put out a call. Yes. But there's something wrong. All of the fairy tale mages, including Akame, Kurome, Najenda, Hisui, Yukino, Angel, and the Garo Knights, look completely shocked because all of the male kingdom knights are naked. Wendy started, what? Lucy went on. Fuck. Everyone who was dressed said at the same time. Human clothes don't look all that tasty. So I would rather get rid of them than eat your flesh. Zirconis said. Screw this. We're getting out of here. Talk about being ashamed. What a sad sight, Mira said in a bit of a rush. What a bunch of wimps, Najenda said under his breath. Akame whispered, can't say I blame them, and Kurome nodded. I can't either. Lucy looked at Zirconis in the sky. She was confused. So your magic is to get rid of clothes? She asked. Zirconis smirked as it spit a small ball of magical energy at Lucy. As soon as the orb hit the ground, all of Lucy's clothes were ruined. Ah! Lucy screamed and tried to hide. The fairy mages yelled, "Lucy! Why am always losing my clothes?" Lucy yelled out in anger and shame. Wendy had to break a sweat. The truth was as plain as the sun. Her sister liked to show off in secret. She wondered, is this going to be a pattern with our sister? Probably, Dark said with a smile as Wendy's drop of sweat got bigger. Hee ha 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 ha. Women are always the most delicious people to eat. Zerkonis shouted and smiled hungrily at everyone, especially the female mages. So this is how you do your magic? Wendy asked. Zerkonis gave the Skyslayer a sly grin. You're right. My magic is to strip a person of their honor. Then. Wendy started, giving him a determined look. My magic is to take you down, she said as she started to reach her magical power. Zerkonis gave Wendy a dirty look. Her brags made him mad, and her magic didn't impress him at all. It made him think of those people who killed people 400 years ago. He shouldn't be surprised, though, given who her father was. Time to show this girl who was boss. You're full of yourself. Zerkonis let out a loud roar, and the ground beneath him shook and cracked as a result. Zerkonis raised his arm to attack, but a tail slap to the cheek stopped him. Zerkonis was shocked for a moment before glaring at Grandini's hand, which she did the same to him. She snarled, "My daughter is not a whore, you jerk. Yay Vernier. Yay arms. Yay armor. Enchant." Wendy called out as all the mages' strength, speed, and defense got a lot better. Virgo showed up next to Lucy as she quickly got her dressed in a new outfit. Thank you, you Virgo. Virgo nodded. Haim Sama, the enchantment Wendy and Naruto gave you should give you the power to call on more than one zodiac spirit. Really? Virgo nodded. Lucy laughed as she quickly took out her other golden keys. Loke. Capricorn. Taurus. Sagittarius. Scorpio. Before, Lucy's heavenly spirits came out of a golden sigil. Lucy took a small breath because she had just called up so many ghosts. Even if she gets a power boost, calling so many spirits can still use up her reserves. Yukino saw what Lucy did and decided to do the same things. Libra. Pisces. Ophiuchus. Kylum. Angel called out. Mira put a dark violet magical aura around herself. She muttered, Satan Soul, Citri Soul, as she changed into her strongest Satan Soul. Wendy's wind step made her disappear in a blur as she came out from behind Zerkonis. Tenryu no Hoko. Wendy let out a huge gust of wind that hit Zerkonis right at the base of his neck. The Jade Dragon cried out, Arg! In pain from the sky roar. Attack him while he's distracted. Mirajane gave the order as she leapt into the air and gave Zerkonis a hard uppercut to the chin. Ophiuchus, use your body to catch Zerkonis. The big celestial serpent quickly nodded as it quickly slithered to Zerkonis and wrapped its body around the Jade Dragon's body. As the inferior reptile tried to pull Ophiuchus off, Zerkonis glared at it, but the celestial snake held on as tightly as it could. What are you, a dirty snake? Zerkonis growled as it was about to use its claw to hit the snake on the head, but Tenryu no Tatsumaki! Shouted two people at the same time. Zerkonis looked up just in time to see two huge tornadoes wrap around him as Ophiuchus let go of the Jade Dragon and sent it crashing through the Eclipse Gate. Zerkonis growled as it let go of its magical power. With one flap of its wings, it was able to stop the two strong winds. You know damn well that it will take more than that to stop me, Grandini. Grandini's eyes got narrow as she and the other mages around her started to use their magic. She said, You won't win, and Zerkonis laughed back. We'll have to see. Gajil's team. Tetsuryukan. The script is solid. Lightning. The two blows hit the dark dragon right in the chest. But the attacks did not seem to do much damage to its hardened chest. The dragon grunted as it opened its mouth to make a roar attack, but Metalicana came along and used his paw to easily block the attack. The roar didn't seem to bother the Metal King. How funny, I could say that was roar sad. Silence Metalicana. The dark dragon roared as it charged forward, but Metalicana stood his ground and grabbed his opponent by the wings. When the dark dragon saw Metalicana's smug grin, it looked completely stunned. Tetsuryu no Hoko. Metalicana used his signature move to hit Dark Dragon right in the chest, sending it flying into one of the few still standing buildings as the rubble fell on him. As he looked at his friends, Metalicana let out a sigh of satisfaction. Gildarts was annoyed as he looked back and forth between his father and the enemy below the rubble. I had all this power, but I couldn't even hurt that jerk. Gildarts glared at Metalicana because he snorted, which made him angry. You've got something to say, Metalface? He growled. Metalicana smiled at his son and said, I see you still have that disgusting look in your eyes, like you just ate a piece of rust. Shut your mouth, you jerk. Gildarts shot back in anger, then slashed at one of the dragon drones. So this is the kind of relationship you have with your foster father? Levi asked with a strange smile on his face. Gildarts stood on his hind legs to look at the blue net script Mage. This jerk has been a pain in my behind ever since I met him, he said in a funny way. The two people jumped back to avoid the blasts of several drones. Lasers, Tetsueryu no Hoko has a good script. The two of them yelled as a bright beam of energy and a roar of iron shrapnel and shadow destroyed some of the drones that were surrounding them. There are so many of these monsters. And they just keep coming. Droy grumbled. Jet gave a reply. Don't complain so much and fight more. Gildarts yelled at the two as they backed away, and then he went back to fighting more drones. As he looked at Levi, Metalicana hummed. The intense look of the Iron Dragon made the script Mage a little queasy. What's up with the look, Metalface? Gildarts demanded. Metalicana gave a smug grin. So this is the one you picked, Gildarts? Gildarts' eyes almost flew out of his head, and Levi's face turned a beautiful shade of red. What? Yelled the two. Mate? What do you mean? I mean, Gildarts and I aren't even dating? Levi stuttered, and her face got even more red. Metalicana laughed and shook his head. Really? But the brat always thinks about you. Not to mention all the dreams he's had about you, he joked. Gildarts' blush was very clear, and Levi was almost going nuclear as steam poured out of her body. Are you seriously going to do this right now? Gildarts said it in a funny way. Boom. As the dark dragon came out of the rubble, everyone turned to see it staring at Metalicana and the humans. That Metalicana will cost you. What a hard-headed jerk. Makes me think of another obstinate child I know. F. you. You have a lot to say about Naruto being Acnologia. That's not my story to tell. Naruto's is. You'll have to ask him if you want to know what to do. I will tell you how I came to be sealed inside your body. I should at least tell you why I did that. Fine. Let's beat these jerks, and then we'll all know what's going on. Gildarts muttered to himself as he faced his opponent. Everyone said at the same time, agreed. Group of Laxus. Riding in the dark, Zetsue. Lebra Horn. Dragon Formation of Baryon. Reiryu no Hoko. The four powerful members of the Thunder Tribe came together and made a bright explosion around Atlas Flame. The group hoped to have hurt the Fire Dragon in some way. But the Thunder Legion was shocked when Atlas Flame walked out of the smoke cloud without any obvious wounds. Not bad, mere mortals, I actually felt that. Atlas teased him. What in the hell? Evergreen exclaimed. We didn't do much to him? Freed asked in a loud voice. Atlas laughed out loud. Stupid kids. You may have done some damage, but every part of my body is on fire. Flames from the very depths of hell. My fires will destroy your magic. Dragon Slayer magic? Dragon Slayer spell? It doesn't matter before my flames. Damn it. We really wish we had a Water Dragon Slayer with us. Well, we have a Fire Dragon on our side, Bixlo said, pointing to a dragon that was coming toward them. Boom. Atlas Flame was a little confused before he realized that something had landed above him, slammed him into the ground, and was holding him down by his head and back. What the heck? Who would dare to attack Atlas Flame? I feel bad, Atlas Flame. Have you already forgotten me? A familiar voice joked. Atlas Flame's eyes got big with surprise. He had heard that voice before. Wait. Are you a... He started, then jerked back as he suddenly got a headache. The dragon above him smiled arrogantly. Since you're having some difficulty, let me remind you. I am Igneel. The Fire Dragon King. Atlas said in a weak voice, Igneel, as his headache got even worse than before. It felt like his imaginary head of flames was going to burst open. The Thunder Tribe was shocked when they heard the Fire Dragon's name. Did it just say his name is Igneel? Ever said out loud. As Evergreen, Bixlow, and Freed kept looking at the flaming dragons, they could only nod in shock. Laxus just kept staring at the dragon in shock because he had never expected to meet this particular dragon in this situation. Igneel keeps pushing Atlas Flames down to the ground with his hands. Atlas, what the hell happened to you? When did you get so weak that a cocky kid can take charge of you? You weren't that good. Better than the cretin with no brains below me. No blood brother of mine would be so easy to control in such a silly way. Wake up and show me how proud you are. Atlas Flame. Atlas roared as it finally broke free of Igneel's grip and pushed him back a few feet. Atlas Flame looked up as the haze around his eyes started to clear up. His headache was finally getting better. Atlas shook his head a few times and looked at the fire dragon in front of him to make sure he could see it. Igneel. Atlas finally said, but he wasn't sure. The king of the fire dragons laughed at his old friend. Atlas, you need to get your head back on straight. Atlas, tell me what you remember. Igneel asked, his eyebrows raised. Atlas squinted as he tried to think of something. I remember fighting a few dragons. Then a portal opened, and I was sucked in. Then I remember hearing a voice call my name, and everything goes red. The next thing I know, I hear your voice, and everything goes clear. Atlas looked at his blood brother with a frown. What's going on, Igneel? You were being led to the future by a mage who was controlling you. To be exact, 400 years from now. Atlas Flame's eyes got bigger and then smaller as he roared in anger. That gross human dare to rule me? He'll pay for being so rude. Igneel smirked. Well, I'm glad you're so excited. Why don't you use that energy to help me fight some of these scaled jerks in the sky? Whoever made you do what you did is with Mother Glare. Would you be willing to help me? It's not that I don't want to tear those two scumbags to pieces, but why do you need my help to fight Mother Glare? He shouldn't make you work that hard. Atlas's eyes got narrower, and he said, tell me why your power is much weaker than it should be. Igneel sighed and turned around to look back. I'm not doing well. I'm almost out of my extra strength to fight. In my last battle, I was badly hurt and had to go into hiding. I've come to fight for our king, though. And now, Atlas, I get the chance to fight with you. So, brother, you'll fight with me, like you did 400 years ago? There's no need to ask. I'll fight with you always, brother. Atlas shouted with pride. As the two fire dragons flew up into the air, they grinned at each other and spread their wings. Small gusts of wind blew around them. Then, as our king announced, dear friend. To arms. Atlas Flame took off right away and flew toward Mother Glare and Future Rogue. Igneel turned to Laxus and the others before taking off to follow. I'm sorry to have stopped your fight, but I couldn't let that fool use my brother as one of his mindless puppets. You're all in Natsu's group, right? All Laxus and the others could do was nod. There are a lot of other dragons, and your other Nakama could use the help. As he flew toward Mother Glare, Igneel then turned to Atlas Flame. Igneel smiled in anticipation, it's been so long since I've been in a battle like this. I'm getting fired up. Igneel flew up quickly to catch up with Atlas Flame. Whoa. That happened. Freed said, and the other people could only nod. Laxus kept looking at Igneel as he moved closer to his opponent. So that's the dragon Natsu has been looking for, Laxus said with a smirk on his lips. He definitely makes a mark. Not at all bad. Then Laxus looked at his team. Let's go. We should go help other people. Laxus told them as they rushed to help the other teams. Anna's team. Ha. We haven't been in a battle like this in so long. How does it feel, Anna? Do you feel your veins filling with adrenaline? Irene yelled as she cut another dragon in half. Anna cut through a few chicks with her knife before she turned to her co-wife, Lover. Oh, my adrenaline is pumping. But I can also feel irritation rising up inside me. Ah. Anna made a grunting sound when a drone hit her shoulder. Anna cut the drone in half quickly. Grr. It looks like we're all in bad shape. I can't believe a mindless drone hit me. Anna, I'm pretty sure you're not the only one who's rusty, Irene said as she blew a hole in the head of an enemy dragon. Irene, all of a sudden, a very big dragon tried to sneak up on her. But Irene was much smarter than the dragon thought, and she quickly turned and stabbed the dragon in the heart. At this exact moment, a blade pierced the dragon's stomach and cut it in half from the bottom up. Irene looked up and saw that the Celestial King was grinning at her. "Thank you for helping me, Celestial King. I couldn't let anything bad happen to my lady's partner. Also, Naruto wouldn't be too happy about it." "No, he wouldn't," she said. Irene laughed when the two of them heard a big explosion. When they turned around, they saw Anna killing a few of the dragon drones before jumping out of the way of a red dragon's attack. She jumped into the air and raised her arms, which had a golden rainbow glow around them. "Sanijiryu no Yokugeki, Celestial Rainbow Dragon's Wing Attack." Anna yelled as she slammed her arms down. The dragon's head was easily cut off by the wing attack. As the dragon's body landed on a building that had fallen down, Anna turned to her two friends and laughed annoyed. "You know, I'm glad my co-wife and partner spirit got along. Cammy knows I'd like to talk to my own spirit again, but could you hold off until after this invasion is over?" "Ah, what's wrong, Anna? You must be envious of how well we get along." Irene made fun of Anna as she felt a vein in her head pop. She raised her sword as her magical power began to fill it. Irene seemed a little worried. Anna-chan? Dear, you wouldn't do anything bad to your ex-wife, right?" Anna just smiled as she sent out her attack, which went right by Irene and the Celestial Spirit King and cut off the top half of a dragon that was about to attack them. Before they turned back to the Stellar Mage, who gave them a satisfied smirk, they looked at the new body. "Ah, much better." Anna gave a sigh of relief. "We let you do that so you could get some steam off, Anna," they said at the same time. Anna just gave them an amused smirk. "Of course you did." Then Anna turned around and started fighting another dragon. Irene and the king looked at each other, then shrugged their shoulders and started fighting with the other enemy dragons nearby. Erza's company. Roar. A dragon let out a loud roar that knocked Erza, Jelal, and Midnight backward. They looked up at the red-scaled dragon they were facing and glared at it. The dragon looks more like a wyvern than a dragon, but that doesn't mean it's any less dangerous. Compared to other animals of the same kind, its body was not as big. Its wings stick out from behind its arms. On the back of its head, it had two sharp maroon ears with black and yellow fur. It had a blue jewel in the middle of a headdress that was attached to the top of its head. The solid emerald eyes of the dragon stared down at the mages. The Gale Harpy dragon looked like this. Erza and her group gave the dragon the same look. Erza quickly called up two katana blades and put her magical energy into them. Jalal's fists lit up with a familiar attack, and Midnight's arms had clear magical energy flowing around them. Double Belief Slash. Pegasus Ryu Seiken. Scythe of the Unseen. The Marin dragon threw its head back and yelled, "Kazuryu no Hoko, Wind Dragon's Roar." The three attacks were sucked up by a huge gust of wind, which sent the three mages flying. They hit a building or the ground, leaving small craters. Erza groaned as she pulled herself out of the wall she was in. Move. Erza quickly jumped out of the building as her eyes widened. She did this just in time to avoid a tail swipe that hit the building as it fell down. Erza muttered, "That was too close," as she stared at the Harpy's dragon mocking smirk. "Are you ready for round 2? Akiza asked. "Yeah." As Erza put on her giant armor, a flash of light covered her. "Get ready, you horrible beast." Erza said this as her body grew to a 20-meter height. She quickly raised her hand and called up a hammer, which she started using to focus her Dragonslayer magic. As it took off, the Harpy dragon sneered, but a flash of light made it lose its sight. Great Horse. As 7 different beams of light hit the Harpy dragon, it roared in pain. Erza. Midnight. Do it. Midnight came out of his crater and used his magic to wrap the dragon's legs around each other so that it couldn't run away. Now Erza. Erza lifted her hammer, which had a layer of magic power on it. Take out Belsirian. Erza roared and hit the red-scaled dragon with a big swing, sending it into a nearby building. Boom. It's still going on. Hit him with everything you've got. Erza said this as she re-equipped a huge spear that was quickly covered in a thick layer of Dragonslayer magic. Altares. Eclipse Blast. Belsirian Destroyer. The area where the dragon was quickly covered in a thick cloud of dust and broken things after a powerful explosion. As Jelal and Midnight joined her, Erza shrunk back to her normal size. Are you both okay? Both nodded. We're hurt, but we can get over it. Suddenly, a dragonoid came at them, but it was easy for the three of them to kill it. When the three of them turned around, more of them were there, ready to fight. The three were about to fight, but then they saw that the small group had been quickly wiped out. When they turned around, they saw Sho, Wally, and Richard working together to kill all of the herds around them. That's crazy. Wally yelled as he blew the head off of another drone. I never thought my night would go like this. I didn't think I'd see my brother again under these conditions, either. I can't really disagree with that, but look on the bright side. Sho called him back. What's that? Asked the two brothers. Everyone around him had to laugh and say, there's never a dull moment with Erza. On top of that, Wall, you got to see your brother again. Sho called out. Yes, I'm glad I get to fight with him. Richard said with tears in his eyes as he killed another hatchling. Erza felt a vein in her head throb, and her eye twitched in irritation. I told you to keep the waterworks for later. Yes, ma'am. As bossy as ever. Jelal made fun. Erza got red in the face as she stared at her boyfriend. The blue-net stellar mage just laughed and said, shut up. I wonder if this is how our relationship would usually be, he said as he shot a few drones. Erza got into another drone by hacking it. Don't act like a fool. Don't make fun of me when I'm fighting. Jelal had a smirk on his face as the three continued to kill any rogue drones that came after them. All of them stopped when they heard a loud growl. They were shocked when they turned around and saw the harpy dragon was still alive and ready to fight. It had wounds all over its body, including a nasty gash where Erza had hit it, but it didn't seem to care. Stubborn bastard, Jelal said. Doesn't know when to die and stay dead. Midnight answered as magical energy covered his arms. Then we will just have to make sure it stays down. Erza said while putting on her fairy armor. The group stopped all at once when they saw something big move into the area around them. When they looked up, they saw that a big thing was about to fall right on top of them. Move. Jelal used his meteor spell to get everyone away as Midnight roared. The harpy dragon didn't have much luck, as the falling object with a large force crushed it. Boom. What in? What the hell? When the dust settled, Naruto was fighting Gadora. Acnologia? Everyone yelled in surprise. The golden behemoth didn't pay much attention to the bugs that were watching him fight, but Naruto was very aware of who was close to him. Gadora was quickly pushed off of Naruto by the black dragon, and the golden hydra landed a few feet away. Naruto got back on his feet and growled at the three monsters, who did the same back. Giora's left head tried to bite Acnologia's neck, but Naruto quickly fought back with a swipe of his claws. The left head screamed in pain because its cheek had been scratched by a claw. The middle tried to shoot Acnologia right in the face, but Naruto dodged it and then hit the right head with a punch. Naruto tried to use a left cross to hit the middle head, but the lead head moved around it and bit his arm. Naruto screamed in pain as the other two heads wrapped around his body. Naruto tried to get rid of the annoying bug, but before he could roar in pain, the two heads shocked him. Naruto was in pain, so the lead head wrapped its three heads around his throat and started to squeeze. Naruto could feel the air leaving his lungs as the pain made his body go stiff and numb. As the last bits of air left his lungs, foam, spit, and bile started to come out of his mouth. Tou-san. Naruto's eyes got bigger before they got smaller in anger. He was not going to lose so easily. Gadora heard the scream as it turned to look at the people watching the two fight. It opened its mouth to eat them, and the little people got ready to fight back. Gadora, on the other hand, had to forget how happy he was when his opponent started to burn him so badly that he screamed in pain. The three heads unwound and jumped back to look at Acnologia, whose body looked like it was made of flames. You shouldn't touch them. Gadora laughed as it took off into the air as Naruto spread out his wings and turned to the others. What the hell are you waiting for? Get out there and help other people. Tell them exactly what I'm going to say. Keep fighting and stay out of my fight. Everyone yelled, "Hi." Naruto nodded. Good, he said, and quickly spread his wings and flew toward his opponent. Erza sighed when she turned around and saw that everyone was staring at her. All of them looked worried, but they knew this wasn't the right time to ask their questions. Wally finally said, "You have a lot to explain to Erza when this is over." Erza sighed and gave a small nod. I know. The team of Sting and Rogue. Sting and Acnologia yelled, "White Lance Barrage." At the same time. Their combined attacks hit Scissorhead, who roared in pain as the blades tore at different parts of its body. The Marin dragon slid across the ground, then turned and glared at the dragon and his son. "I will not lose to you or your offspring, Acnologia," roared Scissorhead as he let out his magical energy and his horns started to glow red. As they got ready for his next attack, the tag team tensed up. Scissorhead yelled, "Megahorn," as he lunged forward. The father and son said, "Metsuryu Ugi, Holy Nova," as they slammed their fists into Scissorhead's horns. As he was sent flying back, the red dragon grunted in pain. Levia, meanwhile, was slammed into the ground while it cried out in pain. Levia gave his two opponents a mean look. "Damn you, rogue." Skiadrum. Skiadrum told Levia, "Give up. You can't beat us." Levia laughed. "Don't think you won this battle already, Skiadrum." The dragon that looked like it lived in water looked between the two as she saw flashes of light in the sky. "You will lose this battle, Skiadrum. Acnologia won't be able to beat Gadora, and Rogue will follow his future self into darkness." Boom. Levia grunted in pain as Skiadrum slammed his claws into him. "My son will not fall into darkness. You're underestimating Naruto. My king will beat Gadora." Skiadrum was going to keep yelling at Levia, but he and Rogue had to jump back to avoid Scissorhead's breath attack. Levia got up quickly and turned to his friend. The red-scaled dragon said, "Scissorhead, let's finish this together." "I don't mind." The Shadow King and the White King tightened up as they felt their enemy's magical power start to come out in large amounts. "Ready, Acnologia?" Skiadrum asked. Acnologia nodded. "Yes, let's do it like in the good old days." The two dragons and their slayers started to use their magical powers, which made their bodies glow white and dark. The two groups brought their strongest arms back and brought their magical powers together in the middle of their palms. The two energy auras came together to make a sphere that looked familiar. At the same time, Levia and Scissorhead had reached the peak of their magical auras. They lunged together and started to spin at the same time as two large spiral horns formed in front of them. The dragons yelled, "Unison Raid, Spiral Horn." "Unison Raid, Holy Shadow Dragon's Flashfang," said both groups at the same time. The two slayers and dragons both sent out blasts of white and dark magical energy that were similar to each other. The two beams hit the spiraling horn at the same time. The two sides fought to be in charge, but the fight ended quickly when the two beams destroyed the ethereal horn and made a bright explosion around Scissorhead and Levia. The two groups of slayers and dragons put their hands over their eyes as dust and debris flew everywhere from the explosion. When the dust settled, they saw that the two dragons were down and not going to get back up for a while. Sting said, "We did it," and Rogue gave him a smirk. "Yeah. Together." The two gave each other a fist bump, and their foster fathers smiled as they watched. But as soon as they looked down at the two boys with serious frowns, the smiles were gone. Acnologia told the boys, "Don't rest now, we still have a long way to go." Boom. The four looked up to see Acnologia use his roar attack to hit Gadora, but the Golden Hydra flew away from the attack without any obvious damage. "Will he be okay?" asked Sting. Skiadrum told them, "Don't worry about Naruto. Just trust in your king." Kagura's team. Wave and Bullet yelled, "Twin Dragon Slash," as they and the other members of their guild and Mermaid Heel attacked the dragon's scaled chest. The dragon in question had teal-colored scales all over its body and walked on two legs. It has red plates on its chest, underbelly, and under its tail. Its hands and feet were long golden claws. It had similar golden longhorns on its back. It had two golden horns coming out of the sides of its chin, one big horn coming out of the back of its head, and two more horns coming out of the sides of the big horn. This was the dragon with 3 horns. The double slash attacks hurt the 3-horned dragon, but they didn't hurt its chest. The 3-horned dragon snarled and raised its arm to fight back, but its arm was held back by something tight. It turned around and saw that several gray strings were holding its arm back. The teal-scaled dragon looked down and growled at Lubbock, who was trying to hold it back but was having trouble. The dragon was about to attack, but someone yelled, stopping him. "Oh no, you don't. Vegetable snare," yelled a voice. Suddenly, the dragon with 3 horns was caught by vines around its wrists, ankles, stomach, and chest. Now, Lubbock and Beth are both trying to hold the dragon, but its huge strength is making it hard. Lubbock grunted, "Damn, This thing is strong. I guess I should have expected this from a dragon. That's great, but could someone please help us? Beth yelled. Gravity pressure x50. Roared Kagura as the swordwoman's gravity spell brought the three-horned dragon to its knees. Wave. Bullet. Get ready to attack him again. Kagura barked as the two armored mage warriors got ready for their next move. But everyone was surprised when the tri-horn slowly stood back up. What in the hell? How the hell can it get back up with 50x the pressure of gravity pushing down on him? The tri-horn threw its head back and roared as it shot a blue fireball at the three mages in front of him. Lubbock and Beth both yelled, Kagura, wave. Bullet. Now, you two. Kagura said, and the two rushed to face the fireball straight on. The two raised their weapons and said, reflection slash. At the same time. Then they slammed their blades into the fireball that was coming at them and sent it right back. Beam form. Kagura yelled as she sent out a huge energy slash right behind the fireball that had been reflected. She said, gravity pressure x100. As she doubled the pressure the three-horned dragon was feeling. Now Sayla. Brandish. Moon slash, expand. Yelled the mass mage as the two beams and fireball grew to be 5 times as big as they were before. The 3 attacks hit the dragon with teal scales, sending it flying several feet into a building in a big explosion. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. Kagura said, good job to everyone. The others were about to say something, but a low growl stopped them. When they turned around, they saw the three-horned dragon come out of the rubble and smoke. It had burns and cuts on its body, but it was still ready to fight. Sayla complained, damn, that thing is strong. Kagura got into a fighting stance and said, no matter what, this won't stop us. Right. Everyone said at the same time as they ran to continue the fight. Around them, the smaller dragonoids were taken care of by the other members of Quattro Cerberus and a few of Mermaid Heel. Cobra's team. Dokuryu no Ode Nami, Poison Dragon Sludge Wave. Cobra threw a huge wave of poison on top of the rock dragon. The dragon grunted in irritation as the toxic smog of the sludge burned its eyes, and his body twitched in irritation as the acidic poison burned his skin. Even though the damage was only on the surface, it still hurt. Red Blaster. Snow Twister. Air Bomb. Perfume Smash. The 4 attacks from the Blue Pegasus mages hit their targets, and the stone dragon exploded in a pretty big way. When the smoke cleared, it was sad to see that the stone dragon was still ready to go, but it had been burned and hurt all over. Grr. You humans are much stronger than I thought, but you will still fall before me. Said the stone dragon as it sent shockwaves that blew Cobra and the Blue Pegasus mages several feet before they were able to stop. Jenny moaned, damn it, this jerk never stops. Even though the enchantment made our skills better, we are still weaker and less experienced than them, Ren said. Cobra replied, if you guys are done complaining, get back up and start being useful backup. All of the wizards jumped back. So cruel. They said in a funny way. When they turned around, they heard the stone dragon laughing. Cobra gave the dragons a mean look. What's the joke? You humans seem pretty sure of yourselves if you can fight me while arguing among yourselves. The dragon then smiled and put its right arm and paw up in the air. Let me show you true power. Stone pillars. He slammed his hand into the ground. Cobra opened his eyes wide and yelled, move. Everyone moved in time as several stone pillars popped up all over the ground. Cobra, Jenny, Ren, and Eve were all able to avoid getting hurt by every pillar. Hibiki and Ichiya weren't as lucky, though, because they were both pierced in the shoulder and leg. Ichiya, Hibiki. The members of Blue Pegasus yelled in horror as they watched their other members scream in pain from being stuck on spikes. Cobra snapped his tongue in irritation as he jumped toward them and pulled them down from the pillars. Damn useless bastards. Ichiya said, Gomen, I'm sorry for making you upset. Hibiki's eyes grew wide as he told Cobra to move as another stone pillar tried to hit the 3 of them. Cobra turned to glare at the stone dragon, and the stone dragon gave him a snide smile. Cobra growled in irritation, if I could just pierce that jerk's thick body, I could wipe the smirk off his face. Cobra? Cobra jerked his head back to the 2 heavy things he was carrying. What? He asked in an annoyed voice. Hibiki flinched before answering, try the underbelly. Most animals with strong defenses leave the stomach open, and the animal's internal organs may also be open. Cobra's tongue clicked. Easier said than done. That stone-faced jerk won't even let me touch his underbelly, let alone his organs. I can't even hurt him in a way that will last. Suddenly, the whole area started to light up as if it were noon. The mages were protected by a magical barrier. Naruto did this because he knew his fight with Gadora might drag the others into it. This way, they wouldn't get hurt by his attacks or the damage they caused. Before they could think about it, things started falling out of the sky and hitting different parts of the Arg. The stone dragon roared in pain as some of the falling things hit him. When the mages looked more closely, they saw that the things falling were meteorites. What in the hell? What's going on? It's Acnologia's battle with Gadora. The meteorites kept falling for a few more minutes before they finally stopped. Cobra and the other mages landed awkwardly on the ground. Some of the weaker ones started to throw up. People with stronger stomachs looked up to see how terrible the battle between Acnologia and Gadora was. Except for the Eclipse Gate and a few other buildings, almost every building was in ruins. The attack had done a lot of damage to the capital castle, but it was still there. Even a lot of the grasslands that surrounded the capital city were damaged. There were now fires everywhere, and the sky was a dark red color because of the smoke. Jenny grumbled, "We're not even close to them, and we're already feeling the effects." The blonde model jerked away when Cobra growled at her. He yelled at her and the other mages, "Move it, maggots. This is our chance to attack." Everyone else quickly agreed by nodding their heads. "Right." Eve said, "I never would have thought that Acnologia would be on our side." Hibiki said, "Let alone be Naruto Marvel. Or that he actually has a harem," Jenny said, her cheeks reddening. "Really? That's what you care about?" Cobra asked incredulously. He's so mad that he shakes his head. He says to himself, "Damn idiots," and then he looks forward to the hurt stone dragon. "Let's think about this weirdo again." Team Gildarts. Jura moaned, "Gah," as he was thrown across the ground. When he looked up, he saw a huge magical sphere coming straight for him. Gildarts jumps in front of him in the blast at the same time. The Crush Mage raises his fist and roars loudly as he swings his fist into the split-up blast. Gildarts asks Jura, "Are you okay?" Bruised, but still alive. The two turned to look at their enemy as it growled down at them. This dragon had 2 legs and a slimmer body, which made it look sickly but still scary. It had 2 sets of arms with purple spikes coming out of the elbows. It had 2 sets of royal purple wings. From the back of its head, it had 2 golden horns that pointed down. This was the Dragon Skull Fiend. "Tell me, Gildarts, how do things look?" Jura asked Gildarts after a short silence. Gildarts looked embarrassed before he said, "Well, Acnologia beat me up in about 5 minutes." "That's not very reassuring," Jura said. "But I also wouldn't have had this Dragonslayer enchantment and a good partner as a backup," Gildarts said, "so I think our chances of living are pretty good." Jura laughed a little and said, "Hey, you're always so upbeat, aren't you?" Gildarts shrugged his shoulders. "Being in Fairy Tail gave me that." The Crash Mage went back to looking at the dragon. Gildarts said, "All right, let's go," and ran towards the skull dragon. As a way to get back at the Crush Mage, the giant reptile called up green and purple flames and threw them at him in the shape of giant skulls. But before they could get to Gildarts, they were stopped by 4 huge magma spheres. Gildarts took a quick look behind him and saw Jura's magma golem coming to help. He smiled as he faced the dragon and gave it some of his magical power. Gildarts yelled, "I'll crush," as he swung his fist. The dragon hit back with his own flame-covered fist. White and fiery waves of magical energy rippled through the area. Gildarts grunted as he was thrown backwards. The ace of Fairy Tail skidded to a stop as he looked at the skull dragon's mocking sneer. The dragon raised its head as it got ready to attack with its breath. But before it could attack, the giant fiend felt the diamond hands of Jura's lava golem clamp down on its jaw. Gildarts' shock turned into a determined frown very quickly. He ran quickly to the front of the dragon and gave it a hard uppercut to the chest while it wasn't ready. The lava golem grabbed its hands together and slammed them over the dragon's head, making the dragon grunt in pain. The fiend was confused after the golem hit it in the face with another hook and Gildarts hit it in the chin with a frontal kick. All crush, rumbling MT. Fuji. 2 of the most powerful mages attacked the dragon at the same time, making a bright explosion that engulfed the dragon. The two mages stayed on guard because they knew that killing the dragon would take more than that. Jura asked, "Do you think it's over?" The skull fiend suddenly came out of the cloud with a growl. A little beat up, but still ready to go. "There's your answer," said Gildarts. All of a sudden, a huge bolt of lightning crashed between the two sides. Rocks and other things were flying everywhere as Gildarts covered his eyes to keep the dust and lightning from getting in them. When he turned around, his eyes got very big. Jura and Gildarts both said, "Holy shit." In shock, awe, and fear. "What's up?" There were a lot of lightning strikes all over the capital city and the area around it. Tornadoes were also forming and flying through the area, tearing up the land as they went. And what's at the center of it all? In the middle of the capital, there was a bright white light. The earth was literally being pulled out of the ground as it rose up into the air and toward the bright light. Gildarts and Jura were blinded for a short time by a sudden flash of light. When the two mages were able to see again, all the color left their bodies. In the middle of the capital, there was a huge crater from which a huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky. The crater filled with water and turned into a big lake. There were lightning strikes all over the sky, and the tornadoes were slowly falling apart and going away. Neither of them could believe what they saw. Nobody or anything had ever had this much power before. What kind of battle did they find themselves in? What's going on? Jura yelled over the wind that was still howling. Gildarts shouted back, "I think Naruto is having just as much trouble with his own enemy, so he brought out the big guns to try to take it down." When they turn around, they see that the skull dragon is still ready to fight. Both of them got ready to continue fighting. I hope that when everything is said and done, the capital still stands. I just hope that we and the rest of this country make it through this invasion without becoming collateral damage to the capital. Team Grey. Make cannon out of ice. Make dragons out of ice. Water nebula. Magnificence, Sodom. Motor. All of the mages yelled as they used their spells to blast, crush, slice, slam, and slam the dragonoids away or kill them completely. The four mages were out of breath and hurt all over, but none of their wounds were life-threatening. "Damn it, this is getting old. Do these things never end?" asked Grey, who was fed up with everything. "I have to agree. They keep coming back like cockroaches," Leon said. "And we're getting tired. Whether or not we have the Dragonslayer enchantment, we're at our limit," Meredy said. Juvia and Racer were also tired from all the magic attacks and dodges they had used in a row. Suddenly, another dragonoid rose from the wreckage and fired a beam at Meredy and Juvia. Only Grey saw the dragonoid in time to stop the beam. The ice mage quickly dove at the two girls and pushed them down as a beam flew just a few inches above them. Leon and Racer both yelled, "Holy!" Fast forward. Several orbs hit the dragonoid and crushed it. Everyone turned around to see a time mage they knew. "Oh?" Meredy asked in surprise and joy. Suddenly, a few more dragonoids appeared from the wreckage. "No time. Kill it." Racer and Leon quickly got rid of the new drones that showed up by acting quickly. Grey got off of the two mages quickly. "Are you both okay?" Meredy gave a grateful nod. "Yeah, thanks, Grey. I don't know what we would have done without you." "Nothing," said Grey. "Thank you, Grey-sama," exclaimed a happy Juvia. Grey was confused and surprised when he saw the water mage. Juvia saw the look and tilted her head in a cute way. She asked, "What? You're not trying to crush me with your hugs," Grey said in a shocked voice. Juvia gave a headshake. "There's a time and a place for that, Grey-sama, but not now," Juvia said, then gave Grey a big, bright smile. "But I'm so happy to see that you've missed my love. I promise to love you twice as much when this is over," she said with joy. Grey's jaw dropped and his eyes popped out. "Fuck. Why did I have to say something?" he said to himself in his head. Kaboom. When everyone heard the big explosion, they all jumped. Racer rubbed his ears to make sure he could still hear and said, "Damn. What the hell was that?" "It's coming from Acnologia and Gadora," said Leon. Grey nodded as Juvia said, "Juvia still can't believe that Naruto is Acnologia. That guy has a lot to answer for when this is all over." Meredy said, "Let's just be glad he's on our side now. If he wasn't, I don't think any of us would be alive right now," and the others nodded in agreement, though Juvia and Grey were more reluctant to say it for obvious reasons. Ultir kept quiet as she thought about what was going on. She then thought of a spell she could use. At this rate, we'll be too tired to do anything, and if we run into a dragon, we won't be able to do much. One that Hades told her she could never use. Maybe I should. Don't even consider it. What? Ultir's eyes get big as she looks back and forth, trying to find the person who just spoke to her. Again, the voice said, don't even think about casting that spell. Naruto? What are you doing talking to me right now? Ultir yelled. It is very hard for me to talk to you while trying to fight a kaiju. The time mage jerked back. So, I will keep this short. The spell you want to cast could turn back time, but it would cost too much. You might go back in time by a minute. That's it, and it would cost you the rest of your life. The thought made Ultir's face go pale. So, I'm telling you, don't cast that spell. Got it? Ultir sputtered. She really felt like her father was telling her what to do. She mentally said, I get it. She shook her head to get rid of the headache that might have come from the thought. Good, was the last thing Ultir heard before everything went quiet again in her mind. Ultir sighed and looked at the other people with her. This invasion was still going on late into the night. Team Romeo. Macau grunted, Gaw. As several dragonoids pinned him down. The hatchlings held on tight to the fire mage, even though Macau tried to get away. At point-blank range, the drones opened their mouths as their magical energy was about to be released. Two streams of purple fire and smoke hit the drones, freeing the elder fire mage. When he looks up, he sees that Romeo and Wakaba are standing around him to protect him. Romeo kept his eyes on the drones and asked, Dad, are you okay? Macau grunted as he got up, I'm hurt and bleeding, but I can still get by. Wakaba makes a joke, good. Then get up, old man. We still have dragons to fight. The fire wizard gave a snort. Like you're the type to talk. The elder mages say, Gaw. And turn to see a drone sneak up on Romeo. Macau yelled, Romeo. Because he was worried about his son, but the two of them were again surrounded by dragon drones. Romeo held on to his hurt shoulder as he was once again surrounded. Suddenly, he was saved when a familiar voice yelled, Tenjin no Dogo. A huge swirl of black winds tore through all of the drones and sent them flying. Romeo turns his head and asks, Are you okay? He sees a familiar sky maiden with a red pigtail reaching out her hand. He took it with grace as he slowly stood up. The second Sky Slayer smiled back and said, Yes, thanks, Sharia. Of course, Romeo said. He had a slight blush on his face because the beautiful smile made him think of Wendy. He shook his head quickly. This wasn't the right time to do it. Sharia had no idea what Romeo was doing, so she just tilted her head in confusion. Before she could say anything, she and the other person had to dodge a few blasts from more drones. Two voices suddenly yelled, Lightning cards, Sand Twister. As they shot the new drones away. When Romeo and Sharia turned around, they saw some people they knew. Max. Kana. Kana said, We came to help. As the 6 mages get together, the 2 teenage mages nod. Alright, then, let's fight. They all said. Elfman yelled with joy, fighting in this battle is manly. He turned and saw that Lisanna was about to be attacked from behind. He runs quickly in front of the drone and crashes into it. Don't touch my sister, you scumbag. He hissed. He looks over at his younger sister. Are you alright? Lisanna nodded. Thank you, Elfman Ni-chan. The 2 Strauss siblings felt the ground start to shake violently all of a sudden. Gaw. Lisanna almost fell, but Elfman caught her and held them both steady. She asked, What's going on? I don't know, answered Elfman. As soon as he said those words, the ground around them started to crack. Stone, dirt, and rubble rose up from the ground as blue and yellow magical energy erupted from different parts of the broken capital. When Lisanna finally understood what was going on, her eyes got very big. When she said, It's Acnologia and Gadora, everyone around her, including Elfman, felt their eyes widen. Holy Elfman was cut off when a huge geyser erupted in the earth split in 2. Gadora was flying away, and Acnologia was close behind him. Lisanna, Elfman, and the other mages kept looking at the damage that the Black Dragon and Golden Kaiju had done. Unbelievable, Lisanna muttered. I don't think the capital will stay out of their fight for much longer, Elfman said. Lisanna just stared at her brother as if he had just told her that Evergreen was pregnant with his child. The capital? I'm more worried about whether we'll make it through this. Eclair and Katia are running away from the drones, which are being fought off by mages from several different guilds. One of the drones jumped in front of them, but the two of them were able to hit it twice, sending it flying back. The two were heaving from exhaustion because they had never been in a real fight before. This made them more tired than the other mages who had more experience. Before they could do anything, several hatchlings pushed them to the ground and pinned them there with their clawed feet. Katia! Yelled Eclair in alarm. The brunette looked over at her friend. Eclair, get Momin and get out of here. Eclair's eyes widened in shock. She cried out, I can't just leave you. Katia said with a sad smile, you still need to find out about your past, right? You can't afford to die here. I'm sorry for dragging you into all of this. I just wanted us to enjoy the GMG together. The drones above her were about to hit her with their breath attacks. Eclair's eyes got bigger as she kept trying to move. Katia! The young brunette yelled, and something in her seemed to snap. The air around them got very hot, and bright yellow flames shot out of Eclair's body. What? Said Katia and Momin. Get off of them. Eclair yelled, and with a mighty roar, he sent out a blazing shockwave that vaporized all of the drones as they shot off. Katia and Momin were amazed as the flames continued to dance around Eclair's body and it suddenly changed into a large, majestic bird. Katia called out to her friend, Eclair. But Eclair didn't seem to hear her. Momin said, she seems to be in a trance. Katia turned to the blonde bird that looked like a stuffed animal and asked, how can we get her out of it? Momin shook his head. I have no idea. The dark blaze dragon was a thin, two-winged, two-legged dragon with dark orange and dark navy blue colors. It cast a large shadow over the two of them, which made them turn around. Well, isn't this a sight to see? A person who knows how to use those mysterious flames. You're a phoenix priestess? Asked Dark Blaze. I thought they had all died a long time ago. But it looks like luck is on my side because I get to eat such a rare person. Or should I say, indestructible? He laughed. The first thing Eclair said to the dragon was, you will fall. The Dark Blaze dragon laughed so hard he couldn't stop. I'd like to see you try, he teased. Eclair made a huge fireball and threw it at the dragon. The dragon didn't even move as it opened its mouth and ate the fireball in a matter of seconds. Fool. Phoenix flames can burn through a dragon's scales, but I'm a fire dragon, so your attacks won't work on me. Then I will have to force my way through. Eclair yelled as she ran towards the Dark Blaze dragon. Just as she got close, the fire dragon took off into the sky. Eclair spread her fire wings and went after him. They didn't fly very high because they didn't want to get caught up in Naruto's fight with Gadora. Dark Blaze suddenly stopped, turned quickly, and dive-bombed into Eclair. The fire dragon hit the Phoenix priestess as they crashed into the ground, making a large crater that sent debris, rocks, and several mages flying away. Ow. Are you okay, Momin? Momin grumbled as he slowly got back on his feet. I think so, Momin said. What's up with Eclair? The two saw the Dark Blaze dragon pin down Eclair. Eclair. Unfortunately, when Dark Blaze heard them crying, he turned his attention to them. Oh? Are these people you know? Maybe I should eat them after I'm done with my small disagreement with you. You're not touching them. You may have power, but you don't know how to use it. Eclair yelled as she shot Dark Blaze at him as he landed a few feet away. Dark Blaze gave a speech. Let's see if that's true. The two of them shot big fireballs at each other, causing a bright explosion of flames to fill the area. Aw! Katia and Momin screamed and covered themselves as the flames came closer. When they didn't feel anything, they looked up and saw Eclair protecting them with her phoenix form. They also noticed that they were in some kind of barrier and wondered if it was caused by Acnologia or by Eclair. But before they could say anything, a dark claw grabbed Eclair and slammed her into the ground. Fool. Dark Blaze said, now your flames are mine, as he started to eat the flames of Eclair's structure, which started to shrink until it was gone. Eclair. They screamed, but Dark Blaze hit the ground with his tail, sending them back a few feet. Now that I've had my fill, it's time to end this, the fire dragon said as he turned his attention to the fire priestess, who was getting weaker. No, Eclair, Katia said as she tried to get back, but her wounds made her flinch. She bit her lip in frustration. Why can't I help? Everyone needs help. I'd like to be tough. Katia cried as she slammed her fist into the ground and blood started to come out of her hands and mouth. Then she remembered what Naruto had told her. If there really is a power from heaven inside of me, I beg you, please help me. Help me save everyone or we'll all die. She begged in a desperate way. If you want the power, you must show your determination, a voice from the royal court said. When Katia opened her eyes, she was in a white room with crystal statues all around her. Where am I? She asked. You are in your mind, Katia, said the voice. Katia looked back and forth, trying to find where the voice was coming from, but it seemed to come from everywhere. Who's there? She asked. Since you were born, we've been with you. You are the one we chose to use. Chosen wielder? Katia repeated. Yes. We are different from other celestial spirits because we choose our wielder from all the possible stellar mages in Earthland. Katia walked to the center of the room and looked around at all the statues. Some looked like dragons, some like birds, one like a bat, one like a large worm, one like a lion, and one even looked like a deer. Katia turned to look around the ceiling as she spoke to the voices again. Katia couldn't help but wonder. There were plenty of powerful stellar mages out there. What did these beings see in her? Because we can see things that others might not see right away. Acnologia saw the same thing. Katia, you have what it takes to become a powerful star mage. Someone who could easily compete with Anna Heartfilia. Which is expected and funny when you think about where your family comes from. Katia was tempted to ask about her family and if they were related to Naruto and Wendy, but she decided to put that off. Will I be able to use any of you? I don't exactly have a lot of magical power stored up. Your limited capacity means you can only call one creature, he said. Katia nodded, knowing what he meant. If they made it through this, she would work on increasing her capacity. What do I need to do? Katia nodded as she looked around at all the statues. You must choose which of us you want to call, and you only get one chance. We're in a war, and I need a summon that can fight, the brunette said as she walked toward a statue with the symbol of Jupiter. I choose you. Alright. Then touch my statue to make the deal, and when you wake up, call the name. The brunette touched the statue as a flash of light blinded her. The last thing she saw was the name of the spirit she chose. Katia blinked and saw she was back in the capital in the middle of an invasion. She turned around to see Momin crying. You're fine. Momin gave Katia a tight side hug, and Katia gave him one back with a smile. I'm sorry I scared you, Katia said. Eclair. When they turned around, Momin yelled out of concern for Eclair and the others, and Katia narrowed her eyes in anger at the dragon for holding her friend down. She took a deep breath and walked toward the beast. The dragon saw her and started to laugh. Oh, so the weakling comes before him, it said. Are you going to give yourself to me? Katia glared up at the dragon and said, No, I'm not here to talk. I'm here to beat you. Everyone looked at Katia like she was crazy, and Dark Blaze blinked before he started laughing so hard he couldn't stop. He made fun of her, but she didn't answer. Instead, her hand lit up and glowed bright blue. When she opened her hand, she saw a black and blue key with a planet at the end of it. Open the heavenly war titan of Jupiter's gate. Obelisk. As a huge geyser shot up into the sky, a huge blue sigil appeared below Katia. From the geyser, you can see a pair of eyes in the shape of a person. No one could believe what they were seeing when the geyser stopped. Behind Katia was a blue-skinned, two-legged Goliath of a beast that was 50 meters tall. What do you want, my caller? Obelisk booms out. Katia pointed at Dark Blaze. Kill the dragon and any others that try to follow it. Obelisk smiles in a mean way. As you wish. You think I'm worried? Not even close. Dark Blaze roars and shoots a big fireball at Obelisk. But the Celestial Titan just knocks the fireball away with a single slap. He makes a fist with his hand and charges it while it glows bright blue. Foul creature. Be gone. Furious fist. Obelisk hits Dark Blaze in the stomach with his fist and fires a blast that rips right through it, killing it instantly. Everyone in the area yelled, "Holy shit!" in shock. They didn't think Katia would be so strong. But on the other hand, she did look like Wendy, and she showed that you shouldn't judge someone by their looks or attitude. Katia sighs as the stress of taking care of Obelisk wears on her. When she hears her name, she turns around. She sees Eclair and Momin running toward her. What's that? How did you get him to come to you? Katia gave a cheeky smirk. Well, Naruto always said that I had a special power, and now I have it. And we found out more about you, Eclair. Momon exclaimed with joy. Eclair looked at her hands while she was thinking. She said in a low voice, Phoenix Priestess. A new word that she knew so well. She jerked back as she saw several images flash through her mind. There are fires everywhere. A big shape in the sky and two people screaming words that don't make sense. When Eclair looked back at her two mages, she shook her head. Anything? Katia asked. Only pictures, not much about the details. Katia and Momon each grabbed one of Eclair's hands. We'll get answers, together. Eclair thanked them with a smile. Boom. A strong gust of wind hit them right in the middle of their sweet moment. Thanks to Obelisk, they didn't get blown away with the rest of the people. The girls were about to say something when they saw a bright flash in the sky. What the heck was that? This is a fight between Acnologia and Gadora. It keeps getting worse the longer they fight. Momon said, those two are really powerful, and Katia and Eclair just nodded. Good luck on your battle, Dragon King. Obelisk murmured as he looked at the battle going on in the distance. Group of Laxus. The Thunder Legion yelled, shit. When they saw a huge lightning bolt coming towards them. But Laxus was able to jump in front of the blast and eat the big ball of lightning. As Laxus landed in front of his team, he let out a happy sigh. Are you guys okay? He asked as he turned his head a little toward them. All three of them nodded. Yes. Thank you, Laxus. The four people turned around to face the dragon. It was about 50 meters long and had a snake-like body with bright green scales and wide wings. The Thunder Dragon looked like this. It looks like luck is on our side. I've always been curious about what it would be like to face a lightning dragon. As lightning danced around Laxus, he said something with a smirk. The two sides were about to fight again when something hit them from the middle. When the dust cleared, Zeke was on top of a second Thunder Dragon, biting into the neck of a serpentine dragon. Zeke. They all cried out in surprise. The other Thunder Dragon tried to bite Zeke, but the Zinigray jumped out of the way just in time. Zeke landed right next to Laxus. The two Thunder Dragons looked down at them, and Zeke gave them a growl in response. I wonder if this is always how Natsu feels. Laxus was just thinking out loud. The Thunder Legion said, probably. The Thunder Dragons all roared at the same time, and their bodies started to light up. As they were wrapped in clear spheres of electricity, lightning danced around their bodies. As their spheres slowly moved closer together, the dragon's eyes started to glow a strange white color. As the two spheres came together, there was a bright flash that lit up the area. Laxus and his group were completely blinded by the light, which shines for 5 miles in all directions. As the light went out, the group was able to see again. When they turned back to their opponent, they were completely shocked by what they saw. Somehow, the two dragons had become one new dragon. Its body now looked like a Western dragon that walked on 2 legs and had skinny arms and legs. Its skin was now smooth and a light red color. It had 2 round heads with snouts that stuck out and a large violet horn on top of each of them. It had 2 heads, and drool ran down its teeth and lips as it glared down at its enemies. The Thunder Dragon with 2 heads was made when the 2 dragons joined together. They confused? Evergreen asked, how in the hell is that possible? Laxus glared as he started to make blue lightning in addition to the yellow lightning he had always made. It makes no difference. That gives us only one enemy to deal with. The twin Thunder Dragons roared as they threw their heads back and shot off 2 huge balls of lightning. But, just like before, Laxus and Zeke ate the lightning attacks and then hit the dragon's chest with their signature attacks. The 2-headed dragon roared in pain as it was being shot away, but it didn't give up. Freed, Evergreen, and Bixlow all attacked the dragon at the same time. With all of their efforts put together, they were able to send the red-scaled dragon into a partially destroyed building as a small explosion went off around it. Did that end up killing him? Hoped to be freed and asked. That doesn't seem like it would be enough. The 2-headed dragon suddenly came out of the dust and smoke with a burned chest and an even angrier look than before. Great. Now it seems like he wants to kill us even more. Before either side could start fighting again, though, someone jumped from between the dragon's heads and hit it in the chest with a downward cut. The twin Thunder Dragon roared in pain as it felt the steel of the blade go through its scales and cut open its chest. Even though the cut wasn't very deep, it still hurt a lot. As the figure landed in front of Laxus and his team, the two of them glared at her. The Lightning Slayer gave the familiar mages a sly grin. "It's great to see you again, Demaria." In response, Demaria gave a smile she had seen before. "You just as well, Laxus Drayar." "Demaria, what are you doing here?" A curious Freed said, "I thought you'd be with your guild." Demaria gave a shrug. "I was, but they told me they could handle the drones and asked me to help the other guild's teams that were having trouble without a slayer. While Kagura and the others were busy fighting a dragon, my mistresses were fighting off other dragons. I saw that you guys were stuck, so I decided to give you a little push." Laxus snorted. "Thanks for the help, but we could have done this on our own." "Ah," Demaria said, "is Laxus trying to be the big bad tough guy?" Laxus poked the dragon with his thumb. "Oh, you misunderstand. I appreciate the help, but I think you could spend your time on something more important than this pushover." Demaria's smile became a teasing smirk. "Oh, you're so charming." Laxus gave a shrug. "I like to think that I learned a few things from my grandpa." Demaria's lips were licked. "If you keep flattering me like that, you might get far with me." Laxus gave a soy smile. "I expect it to happen." The Thunder Legion kept looking back and forth between the two S-rank mages. "What's going on?" Evergreen asked in the end. Freed said, "I think Laxus has found his soulmate," and Bixlow nodded. A big stomp stopped the two lovers from flirting and the crowd of people from staring. When they turned around, they saw an angry dragon with two heads who was not happy that they had ignored him. Demaria had the good manners to blush in shame. "Oops, I forgot about this guy while we were chatting. He doesn't look like he's very happy." Boom. When they heard another big stomp behind them, the group stopped. When they turned around, there was another dragon in front of them. It was about 50 meters long and made up of two legs. It had pale brown scales on most of its body, but the bottom half of its body was pale purple. It had a small gem in the middle of its head and two small fins on either side of its jaw. At the back of its head, it had two horns. This was the dragon who ruled. "Oh no, here comes another one. Don't be afraid." She put her sword on her shoulder. As she walked toward the tyrant dragon, she replied, "I've got this." Freed. Bixlow. Evergreen. "I'd like you to help Demaria fight the dragon." "But Laxus." Freed cried out. "We can't just leave you alone to fight this thing." Evergreen called out. Laxus's eyebrow went up. "Who said that I would be alone?" His partner and Zeke walked together. "I brought my partner here. I've got it. Go help the person who needs it." "Oh, you care about my health?" "I feel moved." Demaria laughed and said, "That's funny. It's more like getting even. If you want to see how generous I am, though, stick around after this and I'll be much more generous." Laxus got back in touch. This time, Demaria went to look at Laxus from behind her. "Oh, and how are you planning to do this?" Laxus smiled big at her. "I have my own ways." When Demaria turned around to face her opponent, she laughed. "You're on the hook." Laxus turned to the dragon with two heads as his Emerald Lightning mode kicked in. The Thunder Legion came quickly and stood right behind her. "Are all three of you ready?" Evergreen grumbled, "As long as you stop flirting with our leader." "So far." Demaria made fun of her, and she laughed again because she was amused or happy. "I can't wait to tell Brandish that I've got a guy to share." When that last comment was made, the Thunder Legion just said, "What?" "Nothing. Let's pay attention to this jerk, okay?" For the time being, the three of them decided to ignore that last comment. "Right," was their answer. Anna's team. "Ha." Anna yelled as she cut through another group of dragon drones with her sword. Two dragons popped up on either side of her and hit her with two quick breath attacks. The Stellar Mage didn't feel scared as she jumped into the air and charged with her magically charged blade. Rainbow slash from heaven. Anna cut the dragon in half, from the left side of its shoulder to the left side of its stomach. Anna quickly turned around as the other dragon breathed fire at her again. Sanijiryu no Hoko, Celestial Rainbow Dragon's Roar. The dragon's chest was pierced by the roar, which cut right through the lightning attack. Anna then jumped back down while calling up several ethereal blades around her. With one wave of her hand, she pierced all of the remaining drones as she landed on the ground again. Anna let out a sigh as she watched the drones land. She hasn't fought like this in a long time, but being with Irene and Mermaid Heel all the time has kept her in great shape. I just hope Naruto isn't weaker because he hasn't fought in a long time, or else Gadora will kill him. Anna was thinking about something when a dragon crashed into a pile just a few feet away. She turned to see Irene standing over the dead lizard in her dragon form. Anna gave her a smile and a raised eyebrow. "Looks like you're having fun?" Irene laughed out loud. "It's been so long since I was able to spread my wings like this. It's great." As Irene spread her wings, she let out a happy sigh. Kaboom! The two turned around to see a bright flash cover the mountains outside of the capital. Then they saw the mountains get completely wiped out. The shockwaves from the explosion sent a strong gust of wind through the whole capital. Anna and Irene weren't really affected by the wind because Irene was in her dragon form and Anna was right next to her, so they were both safe. Even if they could have been hurt, the enchantment spell's barriers kept them and everyone else safe. Their fight has been going on for quite a while. Anna finally said something as she could just barely see the two flying away. She couldn't keep track of how many explosions these two made while fighting. "Yeah, I know that a fight like this between kings is expected to be this big, but..." As Irene looked back at Anna, she stopped talking. "You're feeling it too?" Irene nodded. "Yeah, he's struggling in the fight." Anna groaned. "We have to keep in mind that Naruto is different. He hasn't had a fight this serious in a very long time." The Star Mage gave a nod. "Thank goodness, he's worked hard to get back in shape. He has been doing so well because of this. If he hadn't, I'm not sure how well he would be doing. The fact that Naruto has been training for 7 years and is still having trouble shows how dangerous Gadora is." Anna was about to say something else when both she and Irene felt a sudden surge of magical energy coming toward them. The two ladies of the end of the world jumped back quickly when a huge bolt of violet lightning hit the spot where they were standing. Stone, dust, cinder blocks, and asphalt flew everywhere. Anna quickly cut through the flying debris that was coming at her, while Irene used her wings to block them. The two women kept watch until the dust settled and it was clear who had set off that big bolt of lightning. When the dust settled, there was a big dragon in the middle of the crater. The two women were shocked because they knew the dragon right away. It was the Dragon of Darkness. Anna and Irene let out a sigh of irritation. "Great, Dark Rebellion, you are here, too." Anna was upset. He. "I am lucky to be able to repay you for what your husband did to me 400 years ago." Anna and Irene let out a laugh. "So you're willing to be someone's submissive whore to get back at our husband?" Irene made fun. Dark Rebellion snarled. "He didn't bow down to anyone. You filthy prostitutes. Don't think that fool will be able to keep me under his control. When this is over, I'll kill him, and then when Gadora or Naruto are weak, I'll kill them. And when I beat them, I'll be the new king of dragons," he said with pride. Anna and Irene had to hold back from laughing out loud when they heard Rebellion's claim. "There's just one problem with that plan," Irene said. "Oh?" Rebellion growled. "You think you can get back at our husband by beating us?" Anna's voice trailed off as she and Irene got into fighting positions. Irene finished by saying, "But that will only happen if you beat us, which you won't." Dark Rebellion laughed at them. "We'll see you, you fake dragon killer." When he saw the Violet Thunderbolt, the Celestial Spirit King had just finished cutting through another dragon. When he saw Dark Rebellion and his attack on Anna and Irene, his eyes got very big. "My queen and comrade," he yelled as he was about to step in, but another dragon hit him in the face with a right hook. The Celestial King slid across the ground before stabbing his sword into the ground to stop. When he looked up, he glared at the person who had hit him. The king agreed, "Armored dragon. You're not going to get involved in that battle, Celestial King, so sit back and watch the slaughter while I beat you up." The king said, "It's arrogant of you to think you can beat me. Then let's see if my armor or your blade is better." The Spirit King says, "Well, then, go for it." As he tries to slash down. But he is surprised when his blade hits the dragon's forearm and makes a loud clank. "What the?" he says as he stumbles back a little because of the jolt. The dragon with the armor laughs. "You're a fool. My armor is made of pressed mithril metal, and your weak blade won't be able to cut it." "We'll see," said the armored dragon as it lunged for a quick left hook, which the Stellar King easily blocked. Then, he followed up quickly with a Spartan kick to the middle of the armored dragon's chest. As it growled at the king, the armored reptile was knocked back a few feet before it got back on its feet. "Don't think too little of me, dragon. I know how to fight in more ways than just with a sword." The armored dragon growled as it lunged again, and the celestial spirit tensed up to defend against the next attack. Back in the other battle, Anna quickly jumped back as several balls of lightning melted the ground she was standing on. Rebellion yelled as it shot a roar of purple lightning, "You won't get away from me. Sanijiryu no Hoko." The two roars hit each other, and violet and rainbow lightning shot off in many directions. Anna braced herself as she waited to see what Dark Rebellion would do next. Rebellion came running out of the dust cloud with its right arm stretched back. When the Dark Rebellion slams its claw down, Anna quickly moves to the side. Anna quickly runs up the wall on the side of Rebellion and uses it as a stepping stone to jump to Dark Rebellion. Sanijiryu no Kajizum, Celestial Rainbow Dragon's Claw. Anna lands a quick claw on its head. Rebellion falls back, but he didn't have time to get up because Anna yelled, "Celestial Rainbow Double Slash." The multicolored projectile slash cut through Rebellion's chin blade and then through the middle of his head. As it held his head, the lightning dragon roared in pain. His hurt turned into anger quickly. How dare this dirty person treat him like this? She has to pay. It roared, "Die, you miserable B***TCH. As he threw a lightning-covered fist at her. Anna crosses her arms and braces herself for the blow as a fist hits her in the middle of a violent explosion. Dark Rebellion grinned proudly because he thought he had killed that B***TCH who had the nerve to try to use dragon power. But his smug smile went away quickly when his middle and index fingers were cut off. He yelled out in pain again as he held his arm close to his chest. He turned to glare at the person who was coming out of the cloud of smoke. Anna was seen giving Dark Rebellion the evil eye. Her clothes were all ripped and torn, and her closet was a mess. Anna uses her free arm to rip the torn sleeves off of her right arm and the skirt off of her dress so she can move around more easily. She said out loud, "It's amazing that I could fight so well in this dress." Then she looked up at the dragon, which was staring down at her. "Well, are you going to give up or make one more useless attempt to stop me?" Rebellion growled as he lunged at Anna, but something grabbed his tail and pulled him back. He turns around and sees Irene holding his tail. "Don't forget that there are two of us." Seninryu no Saiga, Celestial Rainbow Dragon's Crushing Fang. Rebellion grunted in pain as he was about to send a lightning blast right into Irene's face, but he lost his concentration when Anna hit his chest with a talon in a slash. As Rebellion coughs up blood, blood comes out of the deep cut. Then, Irene gave him a hard right cross to the face. Now that Dark Rebellion was angry, his eyes were glowing a deep royal purple, and lightning was shooting out of them. "I will not give in to you too." Anna opens her eyes wide and then looks at her partner. Irene now. Irene got the message quickly, and she and Rebellion quickly drew apart in the air before launching their attacks at the same time. Seninryu no Hoko, Sage Dragon's Roar, Sanijiryu no Hoko, Violet Shockwave. Boom. Anna was thrown back several feet and hit the ground hard after a big explosion filled the area. The Stellar Mage groaned as she shook her head to get rid of a little bit of dizziness as she got out of the hole in the pavement. She looked around quickly to find Irene and Dark Rebellion. The next thing she saw made her face turn red. Dark Rebellion was holding Irene down as he got ready to fire a roar attack at point-blank range. "It's time to die, chick." Rebellion cheered, then stopped. What is this amazing power of magic? Behind him and Irene, a magical energy geyser erupted, making him wonder. He turned around and was surprised to see who was in the middle of the magical energy geyser. "You?" In the middle of the geyser was Anna, but she looked different. Her hair was getting wilder, and the tips were becoming straight and sharp. Her hands and feet had turned into sharp claws and talons, and the points on the ends of her teeth had grown longer. The pupils of her eyes were now slits, and the iris was now round. The biggest change was that her whole body, from head to toe, was covered in bluish golden-white scales with a rainbow shining over them. "Get the hell off my crimson vixen, you filthy lizard." Rebellion was completely confused when he saw that Anna had changed into a different shape. "Dragon Force?" Anna yelled as rocks and pieces of pavement flew in the other direction. Anna was a multicolored bullet when she stabbed Dark Rebellion in the middle of its chest, sending it flying back a few feet before it crashed into a building that had fallen down. Anna quickly asked her co-wife, Irene, are you okay? Irene groaned as she got back up. Anna laughed as she said, yeah, but I could handle that. Thank you. As Rebellion got back up, Irene rolled her eyes and turned back to him. Now let's take care of him, Anna said as she jumped and landed on Irene's head. Irene mumbled, I forgot how hot you were when you're bossy. Wait until we have some time alone with Naruto, and I'll show you how bossy I can get, Anna said with a lustful tone. Irene asked with a raised eyebrow, bossier than what I have seen. Irene licked her lips as she said, you'd be surprised. Oh, I'm looking forward to it very much. But first, let's put this jerk to death. Clank. The claws of the armored dragon again hit the head of the Celestial Spirit King. Before jumping back, the two fight to see who is stronger. The armored dragon threw a big energy blast at the Celestial King as it threw its head back. Before cutting the blast in half, the spirit frowned. Then he runs forward and slashes up, but the armored dragon blocks the attack by crossing his arms, which makes another loud clank. The king quickly jumps into the air while his blade gathers magical energy. He then swings the blade down onto the dragon's shoulder. As the king jumps back to see how much damage his attack did to the dragon, a small explosion goes off around the dragon in the area around it. The armored dragon came out of the smoke cloud without any damage, which wasn't a big surprise. Dumb heart. I told you that nothing can break my armor. The armored dragon, on the other hand, didn't notice the crack on its shoulder. The Celestial Spirit King grins as he sees this as his chance to end the fight. The king replies, I wonder about that, as he holds his sword with both hands. The blade of his weapon started to glow golden yellow all of a sudden. When the armored dragon sees this, he just laughs. What else could you do? I told you nothing could break my armor. The Celestial Spirit King lunges forward as he raises his sword above his head and says, let's see if that's true. Let's see how you handle this. Celestial Star Slash, said the king as he swung the sword hard and heard a crack as it hit the man's shoulder. The result came right away. As he cut the dragon diagonally, the blade went right through his armor and into his flesh. As blood poured out of the deep wound, the armored dragon screamed in pain. It flails its arms around desperately to try to hit the king, but the spirit easily avoids all of the attacks and grabs the dragon by the throat. Die, you foul beast. The king spat as he cut the dragon in half by slashing the same wound again. The dragon's body falls in a heap as gallons of blood pool in the carved concrete of the destroyed kingdom. Now I have to help my queen and one of my oldest friends. Rebellion grunts, arg. And then growls. I won't give in to you. Anna's eyes got narrow. She was sick and tired of fighting. Let's finish this, Irene, said the magic dragon. Agreed. Dark nebula lightning roar. Rebellion yelled as it fired a huge roar of black and violet lightning. Anna and Irene yelled back, Senninryu no, Seinijiryu no Hoko. With their own roars. Anna's roar was a spiral of many different colors, and Irene's was a white and red magical blast. When the attacks hit each other, a dome of energy starts to grow as the beams fight for control. But as Anna and Irene worked together, they were getting a small edge over Rebellion. Rebellion could feel himself being pushed back as his feet slowly skidded on the ground. It clenched its teeth because it didn't want to give up so easily. But he was startled out of his thoughts when he felt the sharp end of a blade cut open his back. He turns around and sees the Celestial Spirit King standing not far away. Now's your chance. Finish it. The two women nodded and let out even more magical energy with their roars, which made the dome of energy bigger and pushed it right into Dark Rebellion. The last thing the women and the king saw was the dome and the two blasts eat up Rebellion's body as it turned into dust. Anna and Irene sighed when the smoke cleared to show that the battle was really over. Anna quit her transformation, saying, that was a workout. Irene asked, are you okay? I have a few bumps, but I can handle it, Anna told her spirit. The king shook his head and asked, what about you? Don't worry, my queen. I'm in good health. Before they could go on with their conversion, the three of them were blinded by a bright light that lit up the night sky. Before, there was silence for a few seconds. Boom. As huge winds blew over the whole capital, one of the biggest explosions of the night went off. Anna yelled, "Aw!" as she was almost thrown off, but Irene caught her just in time. Their barriers worked, which helped them stay on the ground. What the hell? Anna yelled. Irene said in response, "It's Naruto. He must have cast a very powerful spell to try to kill Gadora." The terrible effects of the attack finally stopped, and the three could take a break. That was very strong, and I'm pretty sure everyone in the capital and for about 20 miles around the kingdom could feel it. Anna and Irene looked in the direction where they could feel Naruto's magic. The two wives begged their husband, Naruto, to be careful as they prayed for his safety. Team Wendy. Lucy moaned, "Gah," as she slid across the ground and held her stomach in pain. She looks up and sees a group of dragon drones surrounding her, ready to shoot. But before the blasts could go off, Yukino, Virgo, and Loke showed up and used their blasts to get rid of the drones. "Heim-sama, Lucy Heim. Are you okay?" Lucy slowly stands up. "I'm fine, thank you," she says. Another drone pops up behind her, but she uses her energy whip to cut it in half quickly. Lucy says in frustration, "At this rate, this will never end." Yukino nods in agreement. "They keep coming. We have to find a way to stop this soon. We can't keep doing this." All of a sudden, a drone blast hits Yukino like a sucker punch. "Yukino!" Everyone yelled in surprise, Angel the loudest. If the drones hadn't surrounded her and her two spirits, Lucy would have gone to help her. Yukino tried to get up, but one of the drones on her chest pushed her back down with its clawed feet. The star mage with white hair coughed as she looked up at the drones around her. The hatchlings of Mother Glare opened their mouths and spheres of Aethernono started to form in their mouths. Yukino shut her eyes and made herself ready for the worst. But before Yukino could be destroyed, a bright green beam of magical energy hit all of the hatchlings and blew off the top halves of the drones. Yukino opened her eyes and saw the bottom parts of the dragon drones fall to the ground. She turned around and saw that her sister Angel was standing a few feet away with a familiar look on her face. "Nei-san," Yukino muttered. "Get up, Yukino. You can't stay on the floor forever." Yukino nodded and slowly got back up. "Hi." Yukino saw that her sister was using some kind of spirit. "How did you get back your Kylum spirit? I thought you had lost it after you were arrested." Angel smiled at her little sister to make her laugh. Angel patted the spirit, which hummed in agreement, and said, "Getting out of school early will let me see my little baby again." The two looked up and saw several drones coming toward them. "Let's go after these jerks." "Hi, Nei-san." As she cut through more drones, Akame laughed and said, "Ha." She looked at her sister as she cut a second one in half. "Kurome, are you okay?" Kurome nodded. "Hi, Nei-san." When Najenda turned around after punching a drone in the chest, she saw one coming toward the princess. "Hisui." She shouted as Najenda lifted her fake arm and threw it like a grappling hook. The hand grabbed the drone from behind the neck, and Najenda pulled it back in before crushing the captured neck and slamming it to the ground. "Najenda." Hisui murmured. "Are you alright, Heim-sama?" Hisui nodded. "Yes. Thank you." Najenda turned around and saw that everyone was starting to breathe heavily. Everyone's bodies were going to get tired soon. That's not good. If we don't stop this soon, we'll run out of magic and have no way to stop these horrible things. Boom. Everyone looked up and saw things land in the middle of the balcony. When the smoke cleared, everyone's eyes grew wide as they saw what, or rather who had crashed landed. Wendy. Mira Jane. Ah. Wendy moaned as she lay buried in the ground next to Mira, who was in the same position. The takeover mage groaned, "My head is spinning." Wendy woke up and asked, "Mira, is the world supposed to be upside down?" "Maybe." Lucy and Loke quickly joined them and helped the two downed mages get back on their feet. "Wendy, are you okay?" As Wendy got her bearings, she shook her head a few times. "Except for the fact that my brain is all over the place in my head, I'm doing fine." "What she said," said Mira as she stood back up. Then, the four heard a big, loud laugh. Wendy and Mira looked up at the familiar dragon flying above them with narrowed eyes. Zirconis laughed and said, "You arrogant, stupid brats. Did you really think you could beat me? Enchantments? Dragon force? Don't make me laugh. No matter what you have, you humans are still no match for the power of Aarg." Before Zirconis could keep making fun of him, Grandini came up from behind and kicked him in the back of the head. "You talk too much, Zirconis," Grandini said. Then she slammed her tails into Zirconis's unprotected cheek, sending her flying back a few feet. As Grandini wipes the blood off his lower jaw, Zirconis gives him a mean look. "You'll pay for that, chick," he said. The Sky Queen just laughed. "The next time, don't talk and fight." Back on the ground, Wendy watched with a critical eye as her mother fought the Jade Dragon. "We need to break this deadlock," she said in a low voice. "Guess I'll have to take that form out again." "Wendy?" Lucy asked as the other worriedly looked on. As everyone looked up into the cloudy night sky above the two dragons, the sound of thunder caught their attention. As the flashes of lightning and crackling booms of thunder went by, people could see the shadows of Acnologia and Gadora fighting. Wendy shook her head and said, "Daddy." She sighed as she closed her eyes and said, "No time to worry." "Dark? Time to go back to SDQ. You got it, so start making trouble again." Wendy was back in a dark spiral of energy that almost blew away her friends and allies. "Wendy?" said more than one person. "This power is the same as that." A dark violet cloak she had worn before bubbled out of her body and wrapped around her again in the shape of a fox. Sky Dragon Queen mode. Everyone was almost stunned by how much power Wind was putting out. Holy crap. I had no idea Wendy could get so strong in such a short time. Lucy was shocked and amazed. "I know. It's mind-boggling. I'd say she's at least S rank." Loki guessed. Mira turned toward the spirit of the lion. "At any rate? Are you kidding me? I think she's around the level of Laxus in that form." Grandini and Zirconis both looked down to see how Wendy had changed. Grandini couldn't hide her pride in how far her daughter had come under her father's guidance, but she was worried about the power taking over her mind and body. "Oh, she can use your power, huh? Well, it's not like it will make a difference." Zirconis made a comment. "Everyone. I've got a plan. But you have to do what I say." Wendy asked her teammates as she turned to face them. "Will you help me?" Everyone around her who was a mage nodded. "We'll be there for you, Wendy." Lucy said something. Mira. Up in the air. Then Wendy took off, and Mira was not far behind. Both of them flew up and landed on opposite sides of Grandini. "Mom, I've got an idea. I'll need your help, though." Grandini just barely looked at her daughter. "Just tell me what you want or need. When you see an opening, I need you to hold him for a few minutes," Wendy said in a quiet whisper. Grandini was curious about what her daughter might be up to, but she decided to trust her. "Got it. No matter what you plan, it won't work." Zirconis let out a loud roar as he used a breath attack. But Grandini answered with her own, which made a small cloud of dust cover the area. Mira burst through the fog with her magical energy all over her arms. The end of souls. Mira used her most powerful attack right in front of the Jade Dragon's face. Zirconis turned his head back because the attack had left him with a few small burns. He opened his eyes to look at Mira in a mean way. He was tired of this game of back and forth. Zirconis caught Mira in his claws before she could even move. As Mira tried to get out of Zirconis's tight grip, he began to squeeze. "I'm going to beat you to death. And your crushed body will be a reminder of why you humans will be nothing but bags of meat for my kind to eat." Mira coughed a little bit before she slowly began to laugh. Zirconis was confused as he looked at the person who was trapped. "And what do you find to be so funny? You don't want to see the truth." Then, in a flash, Wendy showed up where Mira was and covered her. Zirconi's eyes get very big. "What?" Wendy took advantage of his surprise to get his hands off of her and put them in front of his face while yelling, "Solar flare." "Arg." Zirconis roared in pain because his eyes felt like they were on fire. "My eyes. They burn. This will cost you." Wendy jumped back quickly to avoid getting hit with a wild arm. "Now Mom." Wendy yelled as Grandini flew down right above Zirconis, grabbed his wings with her claws, and wrapped her tails around his arms and neck. "Your chance has come, Wendy." Wendy nodded as she made a copy of the wind. The two of them put their arms up in the air as Eternano started to gather in their palms. The magic particles came together to form a familiar dark blue sphere that was wrapped in a violet cloak that could be seen through. Then, Wendy started putting more of her sky magic Eternano into the Rasengan. The Rasengan grew to the size of a big volleyball because of this. But there was also another thing. The Rasengan had turned a light blue color, and 4 white sonic blades were spinning around it. This made the Rasengan make a screeching sound that everyone in the area could hear. What the heck is that? Lucy cried out. I don't know, but it sounds horrible, Yukino said as she heard a hand put to her ear. Zirconis got her bearings back just as the two Wendys walked right up to him. He couldn't get away from the power coming from the spheres, which made his eyes widen. Tenryu no double K's Kyuubi Rasengan. The two clones yelled at the same time as they hit Zirconis in the stomach with their attack. Zirconis roared in pain as the screeching balls of energy drilled into his body and started ripping his scales and digging into his soft flesh. Grandini added her own roar attack to make the attacks on Zirconis even more powerful. The attacks were so strong that they were pulling him down, but the Jade Dragon used all of his strength to fight back. You won't be able to beat me. Wendy now. Before the two Wendys could attack him again, Zirconis used this chance to shoot them down. But, to his surprise, they both went away. Zirconis's eyes get big as he realizes something terrible. They were twins? Then where are the real one and that other one? He looked up and saw something that scared him when he saw a violet glow above him. Wendy and Mira were coming down toward him with a big black sphere with wind blades in the middle. Take this, you lizard-skinned jerk. Wendy growled. Our power together. Mira Jane finished. Will be your fall. They all yelled at the same time, unison raid, Black Devil Gale Rasengan. The third Rasengan was slammed into Zirconis as the attacks came together to make a giant swirling storm of Aethernano that tore through him as he roared in pain and fell to the ground with a boom. As Zirconis's body hit the ground, the earth turned over, making a huge cloud of dust around the gate. As the other mages got their bearings, the two mages fell to the ground. They watched to see what would happen after their combined attacks. They were shocked to see a figure they knew moving in the cloud. As the cloud moved away, it showed a hurt and beaten Zirconis. He had cuts on his arms and legs, and blood was dripping down his lower lips. But the big cut on his chest was the worst injury he had. It let everyone see his whole chest. The three Rasengans in the roar attack tore right through the scales, exposing muscle, arteries, and other tissues. Large globs of blood oozed out of the wound and onto the ground, turning the crater he was in into a pool of his own blood. Zirconis shot his chest with a breath attack that burned to close the wound. I have to say that hurt. But I won't give in to you. Grandini, Wendy, and Mira all ran after the Jade Dragon as it took off into the air. What should we do? Wendy and the others can't keep going on like this forever. Hisui muttered to himself as he thought about how they could end this invasion for good. She had a sudden realization about what they needed to do. She turned around and saw Lucy giving her a look that said, I get it. They both reached the same decision. Everyone was looking at the Princess of Fury when Hisui yelled to them. The Eclipse Gate is where Hisui pointed. We must break down the gate. Hisui cried out. I just got a message from Crux, Lucy said next. If the gate breaks, the dragons will go back to when they were first created. Every mage who was around widened his or her eyes, then narrowed them in determination. As they raised their weapons, everyone turned toward the gates. Everyone go attack the gate. As everyone did their signature moves on the gate, Najenda yelled out. All of the attacks that were made on the gate caused it to explode. Everyone was out of breath because they were using a lot of magic in their attacks to try to break down the gates. But to their surprise, the gate came out of the smoke cloud with no damage at all. What the hell? Angel said, it barely has a scratch. Karome was upset. Hisui bit her lip out of anger. The gate is made of maginium, a metal that is resistant to magic, she said. To break down the gate, we need something strong. We can't attack with magic. And we need to save our strength, or our plan won't work. Wendy or Grandini are the only ones who have the strength we need. But they have been busy fighting Zirconis. Lucy answered. Everyone felt the temperature in the area rise quickly all at once. What's happening? Yukino showed the sky with her finger. Look. When everyone looked up, they saw a huge fireball coming at them fast and headed straight for the gate. Najenda opens her eyes wide, grabs Hisui, and runs as fast as she can. Move, move. No one questioned her order, and everyone ran as fast as they could away from the gate as the fireball hit it. A fiery explosion engulfed the gate and threw all the nearby mages several feet before they landed hard in the ruins of the capital. What the heck was that? Angel cried out. When the dust settled, everyone was shocked to see Mother Glare covered in third-degree burns and being watched by two familiar dragons. Future Rogue was on the ground, and a fire dragon slayer he knew was standing above him. Natsu. The gate has been destroyed. Natsu turned around and saw that Lucy and the others were coming at him fast. Hey, you guys. Natsu said hello. Natsu, what's the matter? What did you do to win? Lucy spoke up. Natsu blinked and then laughed a little. Well. It went something like this. Natsu and Rogue fought early on in the invasion. Rei and Ryu no Tekken. Hakueryu no Tekken. When the two iron fists that were made of two different elements hit each other, shockwaves of fire, lightning, white, and shadow spread across Motherglare's back. It doesn't matter how often you get up. You won't win. When Future Rogue made fun of him, Natsu growled. We'll see about that, you asshole. Future Rogue had a laugh. No matter how hard you try, you won't be able to beat me. When they heard a loud boom in the distance, they turned around. The two Dragon Slayers looked at Acnologia and Gadora fighting. The sky rippled with lightning and Etherion, which lit up the heavens before it got dark again. Acnologia may be on your side, but you'll all fall to me, and I'll be king. And I told you before that the only king I would ever bow to is Naruto. Future Rogue laughed as she dodged Natsu's attacks and then hit her in the head with a roundhouse kick. Natsu was left a little stunned, which gave Future Rogue the chance to hit Natsu with a hard right cross that knocks him back. Natsu got some sense back and grabbed one of Motherglare's scales so he wouldn't fall off the dragon. Future Rogue laughed at his rival. Does Frosh not matter to you? Natsu demanded. What? Future Rogue asked, but he was not really confused. Natsu gave him a mean look. How about Franz? Has it slipped your mind that he's down there? Doesn't he matter to you? Future Rogue just looked at Natsu blankly and said, Frosh will die no matter what. No matter if it happens now or in a year, like in my original timeline, it will all end the same. He's still alive right now. Someone who has never been sad has no right to speak. Future Rogue shouted as he sent out a flood of shadow and white magic. Gah. Natsu grunted as he was launched into the air from Motherglare. Natsu was sailing toward one of the standing buildings when he was caught by a dragon's paw. As Natsu got his bearings again, he shook his head. Natsu, it looks like you're having a hard time. When a voice said that, Natsu stopped because he knew the voice. When he looked up, he saw his foster father Igneel's smirk. Igneel. Natsu muttered as Igneel smiled. Hello Natsu. What in the hell have you been doing all this time? Natsu listen woe. Igneel tripped over his words as he tried to avoid Motherglare's attack. But before the adamantine dragon could attack again, a big ball of fire came out of nowhere and caught him by surprise. Atlas Flame yelled at Motherglare as he began to fight her, you will pay for using me as your pawn, you brat. During all of this, Natsu kept going on and on about Igneel. Why were you and the other dragons doing inside of US? What happened on X777? And how the heck is Naruto really Acnologia? Quiet Natsu. Igneel finally yelled at his son to stop talking. What did you say? Natsu said it in a funny way. Igneel sighed. Listen, son, I know you have a lot of questions, but we can't answer them until the night is over. You promised to tell me everything. Igneel nodded. Take my word for it, Natsu. Natsu then turned back to the fight between Motherglare and Atlas. Alright, let's go. Igneel tightens his grip on Natsu. Alright. Keep holding on. Atlas Flame, why did you do what I told you not to do? Future Rogue demanded. Atlas Flame laughed at him. Your orders? Don't talk to me like that. I feel bad that I let someone like you run my life. I have to thank my brother Igneel for giving me peace of mind. Now I'm going to make you pay for what you did to me. Atlas Flame, do you think your flames will burn through my hard scales? Motherglare made fun of. Atlas Flame's eyes got narrow. Motherglare, you left out two important points. What did they do? Never take my hellfire for granted. Second, I'm not alone. Motherglare didn't have much time to react when a fiery blow hit him from behind. The dragon made of adamantine roared in pain as the burns on his back burned. It turned around and saw Igneel flying just a few feet away. Igneel, Motherglare growled as the Fire Dragon King smiled at him. It's been a very long time, Motherglare. You think you can beat me between the two of you? Don't be so stupid. I can see how weak you are, Igneel. Your sleep has taken away your power. It will be even worse for you when a dragon with a bad leg like me beats you. Don't make fun of me. Mother Glare was stopped when Atlas Flame hit him with a sucker punch from behind. Natsu. Yeah, Dad? I want you to get on the Atlas Flame. Natsu looked sad. Why would Igneel want him to get on a fire-breathing dragon? Natsu's eyes get big as he realizes what it is, and then he gives his father a big smile. Igneel gives him back a cocky smile. Yes, sir. Igneel throws Natsu right onto the back of Atlas Flame as Natsu gives him a salute. Natsu took a deep breath and breathed in the Atlas Flame flames. These flames are unbelievable. As he kept eating Atlas's flames, he thought about how happy he was. Atlas Flame and Igneel kept fighting Mother Glare while this was going on. Mother Glare sent out another roar attack, but the two fire dragons used their own roars to block it. Mother Glare rushes toward Igneel because he is the only dragon he can hurt physically. Atlas Flames, on the other hand, is made of flames, so Mother Glare can't hurt him. Igneel responds to Mother Glare's breath attack with his own signature breath. When the beams of Aeternano and flames hit each other, they caused an explosion that made it hard for both dragons to see their possible opponent. Atlas Flames suddenly appeared from the smoke cloud. He spread his wings above his head and yelled, Jigoku Ryu no Yokugeki, Hell Flame Dragon's Wing Attack. Future Rogue moves quickly and makes a huge shadow and white magic shield to block the attack. The attack from the Hell Flame Wing Attack hit the shield. Future Rogue was thrown back by how hard the wing attack hit. He tried to stop the attack, but he had way too low an idea of how strong Atlas Flame was. A dragon that is thought to be the second strongest fire dragon after Igneel. In fact, Igneel has said that Atlas Flame was almost as strong as he was and that Igneel was only a little bit stronger to become the Fire Dragon King. Atlas Flame roared as he broke the shadow white barrier. Mother Glare tried to get out of the way, but Atlas hit Mother Glare in the side of the stomach. Mother Glare's burns were so painful that he had to grit his teeth. But before he could attack back, Igneel hit him with a fist made of iron. The Fire Dragon King tried to bite Igneel with a fire fang, but Mother Glare stopped him as he laughed at Igneel. Don't be presumptuous, Igneel. I won't give up so quickly. The adamantine dragon then showed how strong he was by throwing Igneel into the Atlas Flame, which was coming toward them. Atlas changed into flame streams so he could go over Igneel and come back as himself to attack Mother Glare. Several shadow tendrils, on the other hand, wrapped around Atlas's ankles and wrists. Don't forget that Mother Glare isn't fighting alone either. Future Rogue said this as Mother Glare put a Thernano into his mouth. But instead of firing a breath attack, Mother Glare let the energy out as waves that moved back and forth. Atlas Flame was actually blasted away by the energy shockwaves, which hurt him because of how often they hit him. Let's attack together, Mother Glare, while they're weak. As their cheeks puffed out, Future Rogue and Mother Glare started to charge their magical energy into their mouths. Igneel and Atlas saw what was happening and quickly drew in their own magical power. White Shadow Dragon's Roar, Hakueryu no Hoko, Adamantine Roar. The two human dragons used their signature roar attacks, which combined to make a huge spiral of pure, white, and shadow energy. Karyu no Hoko, Jigoku Ryu no Hoko, Hell Flame Dragon's Roar. The fire dragons fought back by sending out two huge streams of flames that joined to make a huge wave of red-hot flames. When the two roars came together, they hit each other, and a giant sphere of magic began to form in the middle of the two roars. Both of them wouldn't give up, so they put more of their magical power into their attacks. As the sphere of energy grew, it became unstable and exploded in a bright flash of light that made it hard for the four of them to see each other. When the light went out, the three dragons and the three people waited to see what would happen next. But as the four were talking, a group of magical signatures came toward them. When the dragons turned around, they saw that a number of meteorites were headed right for them. Igneel and Mother Glare tried their best to avoid the falling asteroids that were going to hit the city below and do even more damage to the capital. Atlas Flame looked at his fellow soldier. Was that really Naruto? Igneel nodded. What do you think his chances are of winning? Gadora is not an easy enemy to defeat. Naruto will struggle. Even more so because this is the first fight he has had in a long time. If he relaxes his guard for even a second, it could kill him. Even if the Celestial Spirit King, Anna, and Irene join us and we all work together. To kill him, we will have to use everything we have. Even if that happened, it wouldn't be easy to win. When Mother Glare ran right into them, she stopped them in their thoughts. The two fire dragons were able to avoid the adamantine's quick uppercut to Igneel's stomach as he turned his attention to him. Igneel coughed up saliva because of how hard the fist hit. Mother Glare tries to follow up with a right hook, but Igneel throws his head back as if it were on fire and then headbutts the dragon made of adamantium. Mother Glare fell back because Igneel's attack caught him off guard. The Fire Dragon King then hits Mother Glare on the head with his tail whip. Igneel tried to charge with an iron fist, but Mother Glare was able to wake up and catch the attack. I already told you it wouldn't be so easy. Atlas Flame used his roar attack, but Mother Glare used his wings as a makeshift shield to stop the flames. The dragon made of adamantine spread his wings as he blew out the flames. But before the fire dragons could try to attack again, Mother Glare turned into wisps of shadow and disappeared. What in? It seems that the person is helping Mother Glare. Be careful, Atlas. The two dragons looked around to try to figure out where Mother Glare was hiding. The two fire dragons opened their eyes wide when they suddenly felt a change in the energy behind them. As a beam of energy went through the place where the two were, they moved apart. The two dragons looked around but saw nothing. Mother Glare swiped at them with his claws, but they dodged it, and then another spike came out of nowhere. Whenever we try to fight, he always hides. He looked at Atlas. Then we need to make things clear. A powerful gust of wind stopped the two dragons in their tracks. When they turned around, they saw that there were tornadoes and lightning strikes all over the capital. Does Naruto want to kill us? Let's just hope it's just Gadora giving him trouble and not that Naruto is going battle crazy. Then they saw that Naruto's attack had brought Mother Glare out of the shadows. Now, Atlas. The two dragons said, and then they used their breath attacks. Mother Glare was able to avoid them, but he got burned on his arms and stomach. Mother Glare spread his wings and took off into the sky, where Igneel and Atlas were right behind him. Both of them kept firing breath attacks, but Mother Glare dodged them quickly, and Future Rogue blocked any that got too close. Future Rogue got an idea when he saw a few lightning bolts pass over them. Before calling up a huge mirror above Igneel and Atlas Flame, the Future Slayer called up a few black mirrors that ate lightning bolts. The two dragons couldn't do anything because they were hit by several lightning bolts at once. The two dragons grunted in pain as the several volts of electricity went through their whole bodies. While they were getting electrocuted, Mother Glare filled his whole body with magical energy as the Aethernano formed a second skin on top of his scales. Rush, dragon. With a sonic boom, Mother Glare took off and headed straight for the two. Igneel and Atlas Flames were able to get rid of the lightning on their bodies, but they didn't have time to dodge Mother Glare's attack, so they stuck out their claws to catch it. When the adamantine dragon crashed into the other two dragons, the three of them sent out loud shockwaves. Even though they let their guard down, Atlas and Igneel were able to keep Mother Glare away as they fought. You won't prevail against me, Igneel. Mother Glare teases, your power is getting weaker, and Atlas can't beat me by himself. We will win against you with Rogue by my side. You're forgetting one thing, Mother Glare, said Atlas. What is it? Igneel smirked. We are not all alone. A familiar fire mage jumped on top of Atlas's head from behind him. Natsu Dragneel. Mother Glare and Future Rogue both said something. He's been with us the whole time, eating my flames, Atlas said with a mean smile to his two enemies. Well, how much stronger will a fire dragon slayer get from eating so much of my flames for so long? Natsu roared as a golden-white fire aura wrapped around his body and red scales began to cover it all. That's a. Atlas began as Igneel nodded. The Dragon Force. Or, more specifically, a better version because of you hell flames. But everyone became more interested when Natsu kept letting out more of his magical power and it kept going up. Huh? What's he up to? Atlas asked. It looks like he's trying to go even further with his form. Igneel replied. The yellow lightning started to dance around Natsu's body at the same time that the fiery aura did. Fire Hell Lightning Dragon Force. Natsu made a proud roar. Oh? A mode with two types of elements on top of Dragon Force? You have quite the son, Igneel. Igneel nodded. Indeed I do. With a wicked look in his eyes, Natsu squatted down. Now, let's get serious. Let's go, Dad. Uncle. Atlas Flame had no choice but to sweat. Uncle? Igneel had to try hard not to laugh. Let's end this you fucking bastard. As he flew toward Future Rogue, Natsu yelled out. Natsu jumped off the Hellfire Dragon's head as it turned its head back. Eat it. Raienryu no Hoken. Natsu roared and thrust his arm forward as he threw a huge flaming and electric fist at Future Rogue and Mother Glare. The adamantine dragon crosses his arms because Rogue charged them with magic power and put a shadow aura over them to make them more resistant to damage. But neither of them had a clue how much power Natsu had gained from Atlas Flame. When the breakdown fist hit Mother Glare, the dragon had to grit his teeth as he felt the searing flames of the Hoken burn not only the shadow aura and his magic barrier, but also his scales. I told you that you should never be afraid of my hellfire. It can melt and burn almost anything, even magic. Raienryu no Cone. As he launched himself right above Future Rogue, Natsu made a huge ball of fire and lightning. The Future Slayer quickly calls up a black mirror to absorb the attack and send it back to Natsu. The Fire Slayer in question glared at the attack that was redirected as he charged right into the bright flame. As soon as Natsu jumps into the sphere, he quickly rips it apart and heads straight for Future Rogue. White Shadow lashes. Natsu lets out a huge roar, which sends out a series of flaming waves that melt the lances back into magic particles. What? Rogue yelled because he had not thought that Atlas's flames would make Natsu so strong. Natsu throws his arm back as magic power builds up in it. Future Rogue mimics Natsu's action. Raienryu no Hakueryu no Tekken. When the two iron fists with two elements hit each other, shockwaves shot out from the center of each fist. Before they start throwing punches at each other, the two men pull their fists back. But it was becoming clear that Natsu was getting the upper hand on Future Rogue before he finally hit him with a hard uppercut to the gut. As Future Rogue coughed up blood, he fell down. Natsu needed Future Rogue to be weak for a short time so he could hit him with every physical spell he could think of, one after the other. Iron Fist, Elbow, Claws, Fangs, Talon, Wing Attack, Tail. Each one would be sent out with more force than the one before it. Natsu finishes his powerful combo with a straight-on Hoken. At the same time, Future Rogue was surrounded by an explosion that made Mother Glare flinch from the heat, leaving him open to attacks from Atlas and Igneel. Natsu glares at the cloud of smoke, knowing that it wouldn't be enough to kill Future Rogue. He felt a huge amount of magical energy shoot up from the explosion all at once. You have tried my patience, Natsu Dragneel. From the smoke cloud, Future Rogue growled. I've had enough fun. Dragon Force? You want to use it? Well, that game can be played by two. As the smoke cleared away, Future Rogue was revealed to have white and black scales all over his body. His eye was all black except for a thin white line. Force of the White Shadow Dragon. The Shadow White Mage raises his arms and yells, White Shadow Lance. Several spears shot out of his hands. Natsu grunted in pain because he couldn't block or avoid the lances coming at him fast enough. You will fall as you did before. Hakueryu no Ashijinu. Natsu glared as his fiery aura got even hotter and the white and black silk started to melt away. You're just a one-trick pony. Natsu yelled as he gave Future Rogue a breakdown punch. Rogue made wings out of shadows and tried to fly, but two huge arms of fire caught him quickly. Rogue is crushed between Natsu's fists, and then he is slammed into Mother Glare. Natsu didn't have time to react before a few black tendrils shot out of the smoke cloud, grabbed Natsu, and pulled him into the cloud while an arm shot up and grabbed him by the throat. A rogue who looked angry came out of the cloud. Rogue starts to hit Natsu with punch after punch. Natsu, you won't win this. I got rid of all your weak morals so I could become a real slayer. And that's how you'll die, you worthless stellar mage. Natsu's eyes get big and he lets out an angry growl. How dare this idiot keep making fun of future Lucy? Natsu quickly turned the arm that was holding him, and then the two of them punched each other back and forth. As they fight, they hit each other with their fists. Magical energy starts to ripple out of them. The two then turned their heads back and charged their magical energy for their next attack. Raienryu Noa. Hakueryu Noa. Hoko. At point-blank range, they both use the attacks that are typical of dragon slayers. Again, they are caught in an explosion. Gah. Natsu grunts as he is sent flying into the air. He manages to get back on his feet, but Mother Glare hits him with a sucker punch and sends him flying again. Luckily, Igneel and Atlas Flame caught him with their fiery paws. Natsu, are you okay? Natsu gave a nod. It hurts, but I can handle it. The group was in the middle of a fight when there was another bright flash of light, followed by a huge gust of wind. All of them knew that this must have come from the fight between Acnologia and Gadora. Atlas Flame had seen that the two had gone underground for a short time and then come back up. Igneel had also seen the mountain range north of the capital city disappear. Before the flash of light they saw, he also saw things flying toward where they were, but he was too focused on Mother Glare to really pay attention. Future Rogue turned back to the two fire dragons in the Fire Slayer. Let's stop giving Mother this look. The dragon made of stone smiled. Yes, let's. The two started letting out their magical power, which mixed with each other and covered Mother Glare like a second skin. Atlas Flame and Igneel narrowed their eyes. The two dragons look at each other and then nod their heads. They also chose to let the next attack decide the outcome of the fight. Igneel starts to let go of his remaining magical power as white flames wrap around his body and stick to his skin to make a makeshift aura. Atlas Flame also started to use his own magical power as the flames on his body got hotter and went from being dark red and orange to a bright azure blue. Natsu roared as he started to let go of all the magic power he still had in his body. Mother Glare was right behind them, so the two dragons took off into the air. Atlas and Igneel stopped flying when they were high enough, then turned around, went back down at a fast speed, and went straight to Mother Glare. Dragon Rush, Unison Raid, the Holy Shadow Dragon's Flash Fang. As Mother Glare's structure grew bigger and became a mix of green, white, and shadow magic energy, the white and shadow fang wrapped around it. Metsuryu Ugi, Flame Saber. Igneel's whole body was wrapped in a huge, flaming structure that looked like a huge phoenix. Metsuryu Ugi, Flare Blitz. Atlas turned into a real flaming comet falling from the sky. He was surrounded by a blue and white flame aura. Metsuryu Ugi, Gurren Hoken. Natsu was also surrounded by a phoenix-shaped aura of fire and electricity. The three attacks came together to make a huge comet of white and blue flames surrounded by electricity. As the two attacks hit each other, a huge flash of light lit up the sky around them. This stalemate ended quickly, though, when Igneel, Atlas, and Natsu tore right through their structure, hit Mother Glare and Future Rogue, and kept pushing them down. As they looked down at the ground below, the last thing they saw was the Eclipse Gate before everything blew up in a violent explosion. Present time. And that pretty much makes sense. Hey look. Anyone could see that Mother Glare, Atlas Flame, and Zirconis were all shining brightly. And they weren't the only ones. All around what was left of the kingdom, the dragons that everyone, including the dragonoids, was facing were surrounded by bright lights. We did it. Lucy yelled with joy. We've won, Magenta muttered. Zirconis was cursing and insulting the mages around him in a storm. Damn. I can't believe I lost to one dragon and a bunch of kids. Zirconis grumbled, then let out a sigh and looked at our favorite Sky Slayer. There's a lot you can do, Wendy marveled. Strong up. Because darkness is coming for you and everyone with Naruto's blood in their veins. Wendy gave Zirconis a nod as he walked away. Natsu kept looking down at the Future Rogue as it went away. The Future Slayer gave Natsu a dark grin as he whispered something to him that his dragon ears could hear. Natsu's eyes get bigger as Future Rogue keeps grinning as he goes away. Atlas Flame nodded at Igneel as his body disappeared, too. Farewell, Igneel. Farewell, Natsu Dragneel. As he left, Igneel gave his blood brother one last salute. See you later, uncle, and thanks. Natsu murmured. It's over at last. Natsu looked at all of them. Yeah. Yukino was confused and looked around. She asked, wait, where's Acnologia? The group then saw something coming at them quickly from the sky. Look out. As the object crashed into the broken gate, everyone ran away. When the dust settled, everyone's eyes grew wide. Some people were shocked and horrified. Acnologia, Naruto, Tou-san.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.